get it! That was mine!
I'm afraid there's only one thing for this. It's the mega cow.
Can we have some very long moves in the chat, please?
Yeah, so I'm just giving people some updates. First update is as of November, we're not going to be saying egg anymore. We're going to be saying mug. As of November, we're not going to be saying egg anymore. We're going to be saying mug.
This, me coming into a room to kill spiders for sure is actually, this is just sort of our life.
I would say my life.
But this is one of them. I'm not very good with a slingshot, I'm very sorry if this is a really content. Should I just run through? Because I'm not scared of them.
What I was going to say is, because I'm not good at the screen, it's like
I'm getting eaten by a spider is what's happening. Oh, they don't make a good noise, do they? Sorry, I forgot. Left-handed is hard. Hang on. Okay. I had one interaction, it was fine, so I think probably everything else will be fine. Oh god, there is a spider. Thank you. I'll use that!
Lord Velamir's castle from its rightful owner, the Velamir dynasty. You, player, will you seek to rule the castle, or will you fall beneath? Oh, is there some text coming in? Very, very, very faintly, I can see a font on the demon. There we go. Press 9.
ha he he, ha ha. Sean Mo 1 live well, Sean Mo 1 fishing.
Thank you so much for triggering the welcome bear here at Birmingham New Street Station. I love seeing new faces in the chat, and I love seeing this community grow from strength to strength.
This, me coming into a room to kill spiders for sure is actually, this is just sort of our life.
I would say like
But this is one of them.
this is a feature.
I'm not very good with a slingshot, I'm very sorry if this is boring content.
Oh, actually,
Should I just run through? Because I'm not scared of them.
what I was going to say, because I'm not looking at the screen, this might be good practice for being a streamer. I'd like to
Oh!
happen.
I'm getting eaten by a spider is what's happening. Oh, they don't make a good noise, do they? Sorry, I've forgotten. Left-handed is hard. Hang on. Okay, I had one interaction, it was fine, so I think probably everything else will be fine.
Algreave says spider straight ahead and path.
Oh god, there is as well. Thank you, Algreave! Ah!
Bread. 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 Can the compliment list not have... Sorry, can the compliment list not have shit against me in it, please? Can the compliment stream be kind? Thank you, this will calm me down. Thank you so much. Everything always works... Shut up! Fuck off! I couldn't even read it because it went off the screen. Okay, well... Play in browser. Oh, here we go. Bread. Oh, in browser DOSBox. No! Stop. Get out. Welcome to this evening. I am Sean Morley and I am real. You have tuned into twitch.tv/SeanMall. This stream is Enter the Dolanverse. We will be tunneling through the mind and aura of disgraced comedian, disgraced journalist, disgraced presenter, and disgraced human, Mark. No middle name, Dolan. We will go into who is Mark Dolan, why is this of interest to anyone. This stream will be pitched with the assumption that you live in another country and would have no real reason to know who this man is. So we're going to go from the granular principles to the dirty details. Thank you for tuning in. If you're not watching this, then I have nothing to thank you for. And if you are watching this, hello. I am grateful, and I would like to offer my gratitude and thanks to welcome all viewers, including the bold wheelie bin crushing ceiling, the besmirched bitumen Momo Christo. Nobody can fuck up a good time travel quite like Josie Russell, the littlest Josie. the smelly gunpowder Leap Kennedy, the thoughtful motorway service station Red Quixote. Put your hands together for Bird.exe, the uncouth the Burnzoid, the OG Crumb Dumpster Fluff Weasel, and introducing Funky Mr. Chicken, the slithering Druid Onion Nougat, Normal 84 _ Nutley, the Brazen Aplomb Cardboard Children. This stream is being watched by Darlysam. Your friend and mine, it's Dr. Plem, the French filth Andy Plem, the glossy Chauncey Internet of Things, the useful Jimmy Spiders Necknil, the venomous Bolts Spiffing, the Fool's Garden Summer B76, the defined Whittle Baby The Mayor Returns, the mind-altering Wedge Dominic Cummings, the feline Gunpowder Maggie FBK, the mind-altering Floss 24 Shaz, the nimble Gunpowder Baldy 3. The Safe Space on BBC4 on the 23rd of Jan is written by K.M. Kearns. Catch her, she's getting away. It's Cressup. I'm sorry to hear about that, Daskito. And finally, Jambird. The grotesque nutcracker John Cullen, the groovy regurgitato Adamatium, and that is everyone. If you are here, I hope you are comfortable, I hope you are kind, and I hope you are warm. If you have a plate on your lap, now is your amnesty period to take it off and replace it with a cushion, a plush toy, or your hands. Welcome, SK Schaefer. I hope we are feeling well. Now, class, who here is familiar with Mark Dolan? Let me know on a scale between 1 to 10 if you know who this guy is. What's our level of familiarity with the subject matter? Keeps hands down, unfortunately. Yes, 8. 8's quite high. 8, that's quite high. 2, 1, okay. We'll be coming in at a 1 regardless. Only from watching this to like a 2. 0. That's less than a 1. Had to Google it. Okay. Vaguely remember Balls of Steel. I would say that in 2024, vaguely remembering Balls of Steel is not a 5. It's more like a 3 or a 4. Mark, sad face Dolan. Yeah, that would make you a 7, I think. Well, I have quite handily. Is this Dr. Kawashima's brain training background music doing anything for people? I think it's quite nice and backgroundy, and it reminds me of doing maths, which helps me wake up because maths is inherently quite frightening to my central nervous system. But we can always swap it for whatever is on this playlist, which I think is a bit chiller. Maybe this is a bit chiller. Was he on that? Yeah, he was the presenter of Balls of Steel. Well, let's start at the top. Let's start at what some might call the beginning. This is the Mark Dolan timeline. It's very preliminary. It's not too in-depth. Don't get too scared. Hello, Grill Murray. He co-presented the Katie Hopkins show, which was some heady foreshadowing. I didn't know that. When does that fit in? Would you be able to give me a year? This is not in too much detail. I'm hoping it will sort of grow and add. If there's any truck, if there's any longevity to a Mark Dolan special interest video podcast, this will grow. Otherwise, I'm happy not to have spent more than 40 minutes on this. So Mark Dolan was born in 1974. He grew up above the Sir Robert Peel Public House in Kentish Town with his landlord father, mother Diane, and brothers and 2 sisters. This is all taken from Wikipedia. It says Dolan is proud of his heritage and often refers to this period of his life on his GB News show. But I've looked at a number of images of the flat above the Sir Robert Peel pub. It doesn't feel like it's like a rundown, sad. It's not like a sad memoir style upbringing. Like, if his father was the landlord of the pub and the flat above, this is not the way that's written would suggest you've had a life of hardship, but it doesn't seem like one. Anyway, We're just going to zoom right forward to where we get interested. He gets an MA in politics from Edinburgh University, and he does do some improv and some comedy at Edinburgh. But he starts performing comedy properly in the year 2000 when he's moved to London. He's a big lad now, and he starts doing proper comedy in the big city. Of course, he went to Edinburgh. Yeah, he was in an improv group called the Improverts, which I think was definitely still going in my time. I don't know if it's still... I have no relationship with student comedy now, but I remember when I was a student, that was still around. I've heard of them, yeah. I've heard of them. Have I met one? I don't know. Although I think I may have met... Have I ever met Mark? I've been in the same room as Mark. But I do not know if we've clasped hands. We're going to zoom right ahead. In the year 2000, Mark starts performing comedy I think at this point he's living in London. And then in 2005, he is now the presenter of a prime time Channel 4 TV show, Balls of Steel. Mark presents Balls of Steel. We're not going to talk about Balls of Steel for long. It's a stunt prank show in the midst of stunt prank hidden camera mania, all post trigger happy TV. Let's bother the public and show it after 9 p.m. Has he ever touched your back? No. And as the years go by, I think I would want him to. Balls of Steel is very much a hidden camera prank show. Mark is not one of the pranksters. He might be the only person on this promotional image that is not a prankster. He's just the host. And he sits at a desk and queues up clips of footage created elsewhere. The show makes a splash. It tries to be... it's just an edgy show from the noughties. There's not a lot more to say about it than that. But it puts him on the map anyway. Been doing comedy 5 years and now he's... Oh, hello. KM Kearns has given us some background on Balls of Steel. Before its first broadcast, Balls of Steel received publicity during the London premiere of the film War of the Worlds, when actor Tom Cruise was squirted with a water pistol disguised as a microphone as part of Olivia Lee's prank TV segment. 4 people involved were arrested, but later released on bail. However, Cruise did not press charges, with his publicist saying, "These guys aren't worth the time or energy." That's it. Balls of Steel was about going and causing a big nuisance. I think there was the Red Devil guy. He would just go and, like, I don't know, throw things at people, cause a nuisance. Some of it felt like you could really press charges against the people. There was one of them. In fact, let's take a look. Let's just take a look. If we go to Mark Dolan, Balls of Steel, we'll look at his... This is a shorter one. Let me make sure you can hear. Let me make sure you'll be able to hear this. Browser audio is on. And yet that's not coming through. Let's try flicking it to this. Nope, that's not correct. Huh? Okay. It can't seem to find the audio from this. Hello, Raiders. Welcome, A Good Pete. Shout out to A Good Pete. How was Pete Picks tonight? Welcome in. We're discussing the topic of Mark Dolan in detail. I hope all is well with my friends from the A Good Pete community. Okay, what's the best way of grabbing audio from this if it's not coming from this?
Who is Mark Dolan?
Who is Mark Dolan? Yes, an incredible question. One I hope to answer with excessive detail.
Subscribe to the show. You'll get a week.
There we go.
Mark Dolan.
We're just talking about Mark Dolan in terms of this big timeline I've made of his life. So we've just got to Balls of Steel. I'm just trying to give a bit of context to what Balls of Steel is. Here is an 11-year-old sort of begging video attached to the Balls of Steel YouTube channel where Mark Dolan begs you to subscribe.
Hello, I'm Mark Dolan and I'm the presenter of Balls of Steel. Welcome to the official Balls of Steel YouTube channel. Thanks for being a fan of the show. I think it's so much better than other programs like the news and countdown. I hope you agree. So, if you subscribe to the show, you'll get a weekly dose of stuff like this.
It does, B&M.
Can you feel it getting harder and harder then? It'll soon be rock hard. I like it. This is taking the fucking piss now, seriously.
The twist at the end is they all live in the present.
How about it then? Come to see Mum?
No thanks. Get down! Everyone get down! Get down right now!
That guy who runs into the cafe pretending to have a gun and getting everyone to go down, I just cannot. I remember it from the time, and I'm thinking of it now. How did that happen? How did that happen? How was that broadcast? How was it broadcast with the guy who did it, like, being known and named on the show?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
He did have balls of steel. Pete, for the one thing I'm not denying, he did have balls of steel, yeah.
Now, if you subscribe, you'll get a weekly dose of brilliant stuff from the Australian.
Yeah, SK, I see what you mean. The shadow here makes it seem like he's got like a full surgical scar right up to his throat.
Which I wasn't in. It was very complicated. They didn't ask me, but it's very fun. Take it.
I thought maybe you could just mount me on one of those wall dildos and just motorboat my balls. Wait, I might have misunderstood.
Okay.
Okay, when I heard sailing, I thought we were gonna go out and have sex.
I don't know who you are. I don't know why you're here. But no. Fucking 15 horses of shit. What?
This week I was looking for love as a personal trainer, and I got to work up a sweat with a gorgeous guy called Tom. Unfortunately, he needs to lose about 70 kilos, called Sally.
This is really good for your lower back. Sorry? It's great for your lower back and your pelvic floor muscles. So it's really going to tighten things up. I've got to say, this is one of my favourites.
The Naughties just was its own time. The Naughties is like another planet. I feel like it's less alarming to just go to any other country in the world than to imagine time traveling back to 2005.
Yeah. Oh, you're a naughty boy. Woo.
Nuts magazine, yeah. It was just another time, wasn't it? Not in a cultural relativism way. It was just a weird shit time. Not in a, like, different times are different and they're all equally valid. No, this is just a sort of a weird, embarrassing mark on culture. Anyway, that was Balls of Steel. Don't need to say anything more about it than we just have. It's all wrapped up by 2008, and I think, you know, times have moved on. We don't want that. Mark Dolan goes back into doing live comedy. At some point, he starts doing radio alongside this. I haven't charted that because it's not as interesting. Because we're now coming to the point where I first gained awareness of Mark Dolan. I first went to the Fringe in like 2011, but in 2013, 2014, I'm back at the Fringe as a solo act, and I become aware of Mark Dolan. In fact, in 2014, I become aware of Mark Dolan, and I did my first tweet that mentions Mark Dolan on June 2014. So that's where I jump into the timeline, and I make no other appearance other to say this is where he and I intersect very briefly, because He is hosting an awards ceremony for a big comedy competition that a friend of mine is doing. In fact, everyone else I'm staying with in our flat at Edinburgh, they're all part of a sketch group, and they're doing a big sketch comedy competition run by one of the big production companies at the Fringe. And it's obviously very huge to them. And Mark Dolan is hosting it. And Mark Dolan's comedy is such that we're like, what's he doing here? Who is this guy? What's he doing here? He doesn't seem very engaged in the craft of comedy. So why is he the face of quite a large production? And Chortle, just like the national comedy, live comedy vlog. There's a review of his show from the previous year called Mark Dolan, You're Awesome. And I'm going to read out the first 3 paragraphs. Possibly the laziest show at this year's Fringe. You're Awesome sees Balls of Steel host Mark Dolan reading out a list of things he thinks are awesome. No, really, that's it. He hasn't even bothered to memorize the list. He's just reading out a series of words he's printed out and then stuck to a music stand. He probably wrote them down on the train on the way to Edinburgh while chuckling quietly to himself in the first-class carriage. Some of the things that Mark thinks are awesome include the ripe and ready-to-eat avocados, although they never are they, eh? And farting while alone. I remember when I saw him, he did stuff about like Hoovers and how your Hoover breaks. And I don't know, was this sort of a post-Michael McIntyre hangover? This is just who he was, and I just found it funny. He was like a good archetype of like what was annoying when you were trying to make it in comedy. Who wrote this review? I don't know. I could find out. Just go to Chortle and check it. You'll find out. It's not Bennett. No, it's not Bennett. It was someone else, but it wasn't a name that I think's currently with him. I think a better comedian. Yeah. So in terms of like his comedy, do you know what? The audio from this won't come through. Okay, so let's actually look at his comedy. Is this the Fast Fringe? Yeah, great. So a bit of context of what this is. Obviously, a lot of you will know what the Edinburgh Festival Fringe is. It's the largest arts festival in the world, and it also, honestly, slightly less so than it used to be due to lots of different circumstances. But it was the trade fair of the UK comedy live circuit, and also a lot of commissioning processes involving like new talent going to TV and radio. So significant part in the calendar for the industry. And Chortle is like the only legitimized apart from maybe Bruce Dessau's beyondthejoke.co.uk. But this was like the main industry website. And they would host a thing called Fast Fringe, which was a big compilation of people doing very short segments to get media and other people interested in their show before the Fringe even began, and it would be held in London. That's what this is. So this is Mark Dolan going to like press people and performing to a big hall a very small snippet of his show, sometimes shorter than 5 minutes. Hilary Wardell, yeah. Actually, she has been going a long time with them. Hilary Wardell's been going a while. She actually wasn't... she's known.
Happy? So this Brexit thing's a nightmare, isn't it? I just think, I'm just stressed out. I'm seriously considering moving to Greece just to get some economic stability. I have a personal relationship.
We're off.
Because my wife is German, okay, and we've had Brexit, which means she'll have to go, and probably quite quickly, I would imagine there will be buses. So obviously I packed her bags just to be on the safe side. So it's weird.
Do you know what? Yeah, I can't even access the comedy because I keep thinking about like his choice of like his look. He never gets away from the kind of foppish, messy hair look, the sort of Boris Johnson. I've pruned and preened, but I'm a bit too busy for the hair. It gives a little bit of a far away, eccentric look, but also like these kind of drain pipe sleeves and the jacket that won't close. He never escapes the gravity of a look he decided for himself in like 2003.
I don't really understand. I don't understand the logic of it. I think this immigration thing, I think we kind of need it, you know, because obviously there are pressures with it. But my attitude is that this country, right, British people think that it's rubbish here, right? That's our attitude, is that it's not great. So I think if there are people who think this country is so amazing and want to come here, it's like, in you come. Do you know what I mean? If you're willing to cling to the undercarriage of a heavy goods vehicle for like 12 hours just to make a new life in Telford, I think, do you know what I mean? Diesel oil just dripping down your face, in you come, big guy. Do you know what I mean? You've proved your keenness.
This is one of two jokes that I find really interested in here. It's getting no reaction in the room, but this is the joke, the logic of which is refugees try and go to such effort and pain to enter into this country that they should be allowed residence. And I just think it's just funny to marvel at the fact Chortle, of all the websites, never remove a clip that they've got of you on their site, so you just cannot get them off. There are people who did like student comedy competitions 15, 20 years ago, and Chortle, they've recently changed their policy, but it used to be they will not remove a clip of you for love nor money.
It's all good. I was in W.H. Smith recently because I know how to live, and
is that still not loud enough? I'll give him maximum kank.
It's a strange business. They've got this thing. I was in there recently, and I want to have some water. I want to buy some Buxton water, and they've got this deal where you have to have the Daily Telegraph. Have you guys seen that? It's very strange, and it's like, you know, I'm thinking I'm thirsty, but then I don't want this horrible right-wing rag in my life. Do you know what I mean? Well, so I relented, obviously. It was a hot day. And, you know, afterwards, I felt hydrated, but I kind of also thought the Jews do cause a lot of problems.
And maybe that's where everything changed for him. Maybe this is the thrust of the show. I got thirsty, and then I had to become an anti-Semite.
Now... Online stalking is on the increase, and you never really hear about females stalking males, do you? And because I think, you know, it reflects a lot about the genders, I think. Because it
is weird, right? It is weird. When was this? 2015. And when was he picked up by GB News? 6 years later. It's quite a jump, isn't it? In 6 years, because he's not a young guy here. You know, the rate at which you have transformative shake-ups of your entire worldview and ideology maybe slows down a bit as you get older. And the idea that he flipped, I think what he'd say now is that like the gatekeeping left of comedy forced him to say that. They exerted mild social pressure to make him think he had to say that to be accepted at Chortle Fast Fringe.
If a female finds out she's got a stalker, understandably, her attitude is, this is terrible. I need to call the police. It's like, it's a bad moment in your day, isn't it? If you are a female to have a stalker. If a guy finds out he's got a stalker, right? His first attitude is, let's not panic. Let's see a photo. Do you know what I mean? I think the guy's attitude is, look, I know she decapitates bunny rabbits and boils them and like writes 2,000 emails a day and pins letters in her own blood, but she's got great tits. I think I can make this work. I've got this, you're good to go. I went to Pret a Manger, which has opened, and it's a vegetarian one. Have you guys seen that? Have you been down there? It's a vegetarian, actual, you know, it was great. The service was terrible. The staff were just tired and worn out. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a little bit, well, I don't know what you think about, I'm trying to take care of my...
Hang on, sorry, what was the payoff for the vegetarian Pret a Manger? Was there a joke I missed there?
Seen that? Have you been down there? It's a vegetarian, actual, you know, it was great. The service was terrible. The staff were just... You guys seen that? Have you been down there? It's a vegetarian...
Oh, vegetarians don't have enough protein, so they're all tired. Okay, sorry. I think it was just a bit 2015 for my incredibly 2025 brain.
You know, it was great. The service was terrible.
There's no protein in beans.
Worn out. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a little bit. Well, I don't know what you think about. I'm trying to take care of my outfit and this jacket. I don't know. What do you think? Do we like the jacket? Is it? It's Split's opinion. It doesn't matter. I kept the receipt from VHS, so it's all good. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in Edinburgh. I've been Mark Dolan. Thank you so much.
It got absolutely nothing, but he is a consummate professional. I do think that room is shit. I do think Short or Fast Sprint, you probably will see lots of okay-ish stuff, get quite a muted reception in it. But this was pretty rough. It's kind of funny, that's one of the first things that pops up if you look Mark Dolan comedian. Now let's jump forward ahead to like right before he takes his big right-wing pivot. He has no comic timing, Jazzal, but what I want you to pay attention to is he has the that I want to be perceived as a professional, legitimate show person trappings. He has the one thing I think's fun and interesting to see is people who've learned how to perform their set always as if it's going well, and so they're always like got a Cheshire Cat smile, and they're always saying ladies and gentlemen, and always like and the other thing, and they're like going on, and they have no like sort of acknowledgement of what's going on in the room with them. And they always do the thing where like they do a joke, and over the laugh they're always do you know what, with these it'll be easy to point them out when I see them. Next, coming up, I like this one a lot. So this is a good look at what Mark's up to in 2020. This is his show reel for him to be a presenter at like award ceremonies and talks and stuff. It features a lot of footage of him emceeing like the UK National Musical Tribute Act Awards. I think at this point he's also got a radio show at some maybe London exclusive radio station. So I think he sort of quits trying to be basically a telly comedy act, and he becomes a radio presenter and like a host for hire. So this is his
party
show.
hard. Are we gonna have a good time? We're gonna pretend Brexit is going really well. Should we do?
The audio's all over for these clips. I apologize in advance. I can't like equalize them. And also, I don't think he edited this, right? This would have just been made by the agency, and these are like the best little jokes they can pull out. And I think it's
and we're going to party hard. Are we gonna have a good time? We're gonna pretend Brexit is going really well. Should we do that? Yes, indeed. I'll tell you who's doing well. The amazing businesses of Leicestershire tonight. Thank you very.
Like that's a good opening. People have not stopped talking amongst themselves.
Very much, Alan. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2019 National Tribute Music Awards. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, this is the creme de la creme of what is, as Alan said, a growing industry. Give yourselves a round of applause for being the very best in the business. You guys are the best. I've spent the last year practicing looking and sounding like TV presenter and comedian Mark Dolan. What do you think? What do you think? We're here to celebrate the very, very finest. So, for example, Lady Gaga to Elvis, Led Zeppelin to lovely Ed Sheeran. And the ultimate thing is the commitment, the dedication to the act that each and every one of you has demonstrated. It's the hardest thing in the world to be as good as some of those big stars, and you are. And do you know what it is? Authenticity. Would you agree with that?
Led Zeppelin in the chat if you think Led Zeppelin should be said as Led Zeppelin.
Authenticity, capturing the essence of someone, right? So, for example, the guy that plays Ed Sheeran genuinely has red hair. Actually, the guy that plays Bono is genuinely annoying, and it really...
Here we go. Jazzile, this is the thing I want to talk about, right? There's a thing that comedians do, And I know it's been like flagged up. Maybe there was like a Richard and Not Judy thing about it, where they like to pretend that the thing they were saying was so off the cuff that the laugh is interrupting them. And it always feels weird if people have that manner of delivery when the laugh is not really coming. Yeah, maybe there was more of a laugh because I don't think the audience are mic'd up in any way.
Blaze Bono is genuinely annoying, and it really...
Do you know what he says? And it really, and then he paused to kind of like force them to laugh there. And the guy who plays Bono is genuinely annoying. And it really, oh no, you're laughing and interrupting me. I can't continue. Oh, I just wanted to continue my thought. And now you're interjecting. I hate it. He's got loads of artifice. He has all the little performative, artificial delivery mannerisms that tell the audience, I'm a professional, calm down, and it allows like nothing interesting to be happening without anyone feeling like, oh, we booked a buffoon off of the street.
Okay, we have a few more numbers to go. This is the grand final of Stand-Up Bingo. Number 10. The place...
Look, I think hosting a bingo thing for Leicester's regional newspaper while no one will shut the fuck up, I'm sure it pays fine. But as someone who was on the telly, who was on a prime time hosting slot, that's the doldrums, isn't it? That really is someone sent you out into the garden to go and dig holes.
Boris Johnson would like to make home. It's great, honestly. But so we are here, ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate the very, very best. And we'd like to thank the sponsors. I know they've been name-checked individually, but let's give a round of applause to our lovely sponsors who we love.
The championspeakers.com agency would like you to know that if you are a sponsor, you will be thanked by the host.
They've done everything. There is no national...
No, he's from London. Did his degree in Edinburgh. Don't think he's got a connection to the Midlands. I know of.
Tribute Music Awards without them. They've paid for the venue, the food, and some of my recent dental work. So, last three, please join us on the front of the stage, and let's meet our contestants in the final stand-up bingo. First of all, what's your name, sir?
Andrew.
Lovely to have you with us, Andrew. And what's your business? And Doc Brick. And what do you guys do?
Brickmaking and stock.
Oh, well, the British brick is the best in the world. And
like, why try and do this? No one will shut the fuck up. Right, the audience aren't mic'd, right? No one's going to be... Maybe they are. I don't know. It would be very unusual in this kind of an event to mic up the crowd. The fact we can hear them when no one's trying to record their responses means they're going to be deafening. No one is listening. Why is this in the show?
Lovely to meet you, and nice to get a plug in for the company, Doc Brick. Okay, and what's your name, sir?
Keith Fires.
Keith, nice to have you on board. Now listen, you've got medals, so I'm not going to mess with you.
Yeah, I'm in the army, yes.
You have physical evidence of your excellence at your job, sir. And what's your name?
Keith Fires.
Keith, are you involved in a business, or are you still in the military?
No, still in the military, so we inspire young people in schools and make them for groups.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, you're inspiring us tonight. Good luck, Keith. I'm worried if he doesn't win, he's going to get me in an arm lock or something. Put me in solitary for a couple of hours. I've earned it. And finally, we have, last but not least, what's your name, madam? Sue. And nice to see you, Sue. And are you involved in a business in Leicestershire?
Hi, Mazflaz. We're just looking through the life and times of Mark Dolan. We're currently looking at his 2020 showreel as an after-dinner speaker, and he's hosting... It just cuts between him hosting an awards ceremony for musical tribute acts and doing some kind of... Oh, the Leicester Mercury Business Awards 2019.
What are you called? I was very excited because I thought maybe I'd be sharing a dressing room with, like, you know, Little Fix, Madonna, Taylor Swift.
What's Little Fix? I just want to check. Is that that's a flub? Is it? Is there a group called Little Fix? There's not, is there? Right? That's he means Little Mix, and that's in the showreel.
I got Freddie Mercury and the Beach Boys, but still got laid, and that's the most important thing.
Oh no, maybe Little Fix. Maybe Little Fix is the name of a tribute act. This is the tribute act. Yeah, yeah. Little Fix is not, as it goes, it's not a bad name for a Little Mix tribute act. Okay, and then now that's his comedy career, right? That's his comedy career. We've seen it. We've seen it. It was good. It was fun. It was a great time. And now he's going to become the face of anti-woke. So the first thing he does, this is in September. He is working for Talk TV, which is like a talk radio station in London. It increasingly, it's like the right-wing LBC. Yes, yes. This is this is the Mark Dolan timeline project that goes from his birth to today, and how I'm just going to fill it in over time. So now we're going from like an absolute ant's eye view upwards. So this is September 2020. So maybe we're going into lockdown 2 at this point. And this is what he puts out. This is his sort of triumphant, I'm right wing now. I looked for it. Twitter's advanced search has obviously been absolutely gutted by Elon Musk. But I remember there being loads of like comedy people being like, huh? I never saw this. Why? Where's this come from? I remember thinking, I always had big questions about this guy. I've got proof that I always put a question mark over this guy's head, and I never took it away.
The consensus is crumbling. Extraordinary scenes of a man on a train.
LBC's right wing too. Sorry, the thing to know about UK media is that it's all right wing. So actually, it's my fault for trying to specify any channel or station by saying the right wing one. LBC believes itself to have more balance in that they have sort of centrists and reactionaries. They have both flavors of right wing sort of together, and they get on fine. Whereas here, it was just reactionaries. So it was slightly more right wing, arguably, depending on how you want to chart those two positions on a graph.
Refusing to wear a face mask have circulated online in the last 24 hours. Notwithstanding the details of that case, it's pretty clear that when it comes to policing this mask rule, the authorities have lost the plot. Because do you know why? They have no authority. How can you have authority when so many people are flouting the face mask rule, and when the science around face masks is so divided? Dr. Jenny Harries, herself Deputy Chief Medical Officer for England, someone of whom I'm a huge fan because she's always honest and she's not part of this government groupthink. She said last weekend there is no strong evidence either way on whether masks work. And if people do follow the rulings on face masks, such as on a flight, if you want to have a sandwich or a coffee, you're allowed to take the mask off. Eh? I beg your pardon? Yes, indeed. Why is it that face masks are a case of life and death, apart from those few minutes when you're having a ham and cheese toasty or a hot chocolate? How does that make any sense? There are double standards everywhere, which is why people...
The only coherent mask policy is that you have to push your food through the mask. Or you've got to pour your drink onto the mask and then lick the other side of the mask and hope some comes through. That's the only way it would have made sense.
People are confused and increasingly angry. If you go into your local convenience store, for example, not dressed up like a pound shop Darth Vader, you feel like a common criminal. But then you can spend all night long cheek by jowl with drinkers of the Wetherspoons, happily mask-free. How does that make sense?
Fair enough on that point.
No wonder people are beginning to rebel, because the inconsistent mask message makes no sense. It's clearly quackery. It's window dressing. It's an absurd
charade. And many of you are no longer playing the game. And frankly, why should you? This isn't a scientific poll, but as I've gone about my business in the last few days, I'd observed that at least 20, maybe 30% of people are now not bothering with masks. And a good many others are wearing them incorrectly, like on their chin, which I call that the Abraham.
No, Masflaz, but if he went to Pound Shop, I think Darth Vader's got all that stuff because he's like horrifically burnt. But if all he could do is sort of buy gauze from Boots and then wheeze through like PPE, then yeah, that would be a Pound Shop Darth Vader, and he'd look like someone with a face
Abraham
mask.
Lincoln, right? The little goatee mask. Many others under their nose, which of course, you know, in terms of the spread of the virus, completely useless, but it keeps the mask police happy because you're showing compliance, and that's what this is all about. Of course,
as a member of the mask police, or at least I used to be a member of the mask police, I wasn't happy about people wearing it under their nose. I have to say, as a representative of the not wearing masks in public spaces in the height of the pandemic, I wasn't. I found the nose
there
thing
are
bad.
some people who love the masks, the mini dictators among us, who love the coercion, the bullying, the control. They're addicted to it. They're getting high on the power.
Yeah.
Because frankly, folks, wearing a mask is the new woke. That's where we're at. It is state-sponsored virtue signalling on a grand scale. The mask obsessives are the COVID cowards who would happily see every last industry closed down.
Can I just say, one thing I'm trying to do in watching this, I don't want to fall into the pattern of like having to pause it every 5 seconds and be like, that's not true. But obviously that's the temptation. There's too many commentary things that are like, that obvious lie is false. And instead, I just love the way he talks. I think there's something hypnotic and interesting and fun about him. He's like a bird of paradise. I just think it's interesting to watch him flutter around. I like watching him in the same way I just like seeing a weird twig blow. It's like in American Beauty where he videotapes a bag blowing in the wind. And I am the freaky guy from next door being like, you can see this is interesting. If I sit you down, you can see this is quite an interesting bag movement footage. That's how I'm trying to do this. We're not here to de-radicalize young men. We're not here to set the record straight. I'm saying I've found a bag caught in the wind, and I think it's interesting to look at it, so I've caught it on VHS. That's my frame in here. And so with that in mind, I think it's funny the way he does emphasis where he's like, because his mic's right here, and it's to be like, oh, he sort of hops up his chest. And I think that's not acceptable. And I want to say that masks have become the new woke. And he sort of does this little pop-up pirate. And I think it's adorable, and I love it. Maybe I'm just going to rewind 5 seconds.
Are the COVID cowards who would happily see every last industry closed down and every last job disappear.
Pete, the old woke was woke. The new woke is masks, where we are in time here, 2020. But then the new woke becomes woke again.
Until we reach a state of COVID zero, which sounds like a soft drink, but is a crazy aspiration to eliminate COVID altogether. Folks, it ain't happening. If it were to happen, there of course would be no country left at the end of it. Now, we were not stupid when the initial government advice at the beginning of the pandemic came out. The advice was to stay home and save lives. We got it. We also got it when we were told to stay alert in May. But we're now being taken for fools, and many people are rebelling. But obviously, you mustn't take to the streets to demonstrate, because
I'm not fact checking here. I just think it's interesting to think about what he's saying, right? He's saying initially, when people were told to socially distance, that's fine. That wasn't a coup. That wasn't martial law, that's fine. People stay at home to stop the spread. But then later, because they let people drink in pubs and because some people have their nose underneath their masks, he's like, fuck, now it's authoritarian. Even though it's, like, when it becomes more permissive, he views it as more authoritarian. But when the ruling was extremely strict, clear, and strict, then he's like, that bit's fine. But when there are more allowances, now it's unacceptable. Have I missed something in the logic
Like
here?
Piers Corbyn, a rare member of the Corbyn family I agree with, you'll be saddled with a 10,000 quid fine for your pleasure.
Piers Corbyn is absolutely fully mad. The idea that you'd say he's one of the country's correct people.
We are told that masks are there for reassurance. Did you know that? Apparently that is the most compelling argument for masks.
No, there's a third Corbyn. There's his son who sells hemp.
Is reassurance. Well, I'm not very
That's another
reassured
Corbyn I agree
by the
with.
prospect of £2 trillion worth of national debt. I'm not very reassured by a forthcoming tsunami of unemployment and a health epidemic for the thousands of people still scandalously not treated for other conditions and illnesses. And here's why I have reached the end of the line with masks, because they are a barrier to our recovery. Of course, by all means, wear one if you feel more safe and comfortable. No problem with that at all.
Oh, okay. Oh,
but as
well,
long as
fine.
masks
What are
remain
we talking about
mandatory
then?
with no compelling science to back them up, I believe that this country can never fully recover. That's right, masks are a barrier to our recovery, our return to normal. Masks
But also wear
have
them if you
become
like.
a symbol not of
Also wear them if you
protection,
like.
but of trepidation, of caution,
But also you can wear them,
and of
but it's fine, it's not a
irrational
problem.
fear. And they are an advert
Also, I don't mind
to
if you wear
stay
them.
afraid. Let's be clear. With thousands
it's
of
fine to
people
wear.
openly flouting the rules, the government have definitely lost the dressing room on this one. That number of disaffected people will only grow, mark my words. Civil disobedience is sadly inevitable. And I say that with a heavy heart because our brilliant society has its foundations in the rule of law. But it's time for the government to recalibrate its response to COVID-19. A nasty
I've never even heard that phrase before. What is the government have lost the dressing room? Is the dressing room like the most important thing to have? That's just where the clothes are. That's where you put your makeup on, right? Is that
virus,
important?
yes, that we all hate, absolutely. But one for whom the medicine is now killing the patient. The damage to our...
But also you can wear them if you like. That's not a... If you want to wear them, you can. There's not a
country
problem with that.
from COVID measures is now a clear and present danger, not only to our way of life and our...
Oh, is it football? Sorry. I thought it was something posh, like a big theatre dressing room. But actually, I was the posh one because I was thinking about the theatre and you were thinking about the beautiful game. Hello, it's me, sorry, from 1990. I was hoping that I would maybe, if there was ever a future Dolan cast, that I would, no, send me the remix. What I was going to say is I wanted to talk to Izzy and Sam if ever I did this again and get like the full lowdown, bring in the team. But I would love to play the remix.
our jobs, but to many thousands of lives too. If you want to save lives and get the country back on track, the only option is to get back.
Thank you, it's me, sorry. I would happily
to
broadcast
normal.
that.
And the first step to achieving that is to get rid of these wretched, god-awful, damned,
You didn't even...
blinking, uncomfortable, scientifically empty, useless masks.
And that's what we're here for. That's who this guy is. he will bring up that he did this as a totemic historical moment in why he is a dangerous bad boy. He was a little bit scared while he did it. It didn't feel comfortable. It didn't feel natural. It's one of the most milquetoast stunts you could think of doing it. Still in my head, he's going like, they're evil, they're abhorrent, I hate them. But I also remember him being like, if you want to wear one, it's fine. I don't mind if you want to wear one.
This is Talk Radio.
Yes. I wondered why it appeared right at the very end after he'd lost steam. It's because he wanted to sign off on it.
Uncomfortable, scientifically empty, useless masks. This is Talk Radio.
This is Talk Radio, and I have talked. Anyway, that's Mark Dolan. That's when he ascends. That's when he grows a pair of wings and becomes a biblically accurate freak. And not immediately. It takes him less than a year, and he's picked up by GB News. I'm not going to go into what GB News is. Just imagine if the news got more right wing. Not even that much more right wing. It's just a slightly more right wing news channel. And he has a great time there. We'll watch one of his segments. They get him on to talk about comedy quite a lot, because he was a comedian. I'm not going to say you're not a comedian because you're not funny. No, he was a comedian. He's emblematic of the problem with comedy because he was one. What do you want? Do you want political correctness is killing British comedy, or do you want Mark Dolan takes aim at the woke war on comedy? I guarantee it's not worth watching both. So just pick truffle pig your way to whichever one you prefer. Woke war on comedy. Yeah. Oh, we got one for the left one. So woke war on comedy. Sounds like woke war on comedy. They are sort of the same video. One of them's about Little Britain, actually. Let me find the one that's about Little Britain, because I think that's the one that's maybe more interesting. I think
the
this
BBC,
one's about Little
remember
Britain.
them, have reinstated the comedy series Little Britain by putting it back on their catch-up service, iPlayer. How nice of them. How nice of them to grant us access to a hit comedy series that, of course, we paid for. Except that it has now...
So this is him, like, he is fully GB Newsed, right? He's been GB News for ages. This is him in the absolute peak of his GB News career, talking about the absolute thing he wants to talk about. There's no teething problems here. This is him full speed.
Being edited down for our own safety. Because we're so stupid, we're so intolerant, and we're so easily led that we can't be trusted with any dangerous material that just a few years ago was watched and enjoyed by millions. Little Britain was the biggest comedy hit for a generation, loved by all...
Yeah, I think it's so funny. He's not... Do you know... I'm not trying to say anything that's conciliatory to the culture war reactionaries, but, like, I just don't think anyone holds up Little Britain enough. Like, people do treasure Faulty Towers, and so when that got some censorship, fine. It felt inevitable that people would be like, "You can't touch this; it's pristine." Faulty Towers is subject to a lot of myth making. Actually, try and sit down and watch it, and I don't think you'll hold it up as the best thing ever written. But Little Britain, I think it's just like Balls of Steel, right? It's just we begrudgingly remember
communities across the land. Little Britain was exactly what it said on the tin, a portrait of Britain through the anarchic comedic lens of David Walliams and Matt Lucas.
No, I'm not saying it's great, but it is culturally held up.
Now, I can't say that every sketch was to my taste, but the programme was suffused with perceptive social commentary, and notwithstanding some of the bawdier, wackier and more lowbrow gags...
I just want to say, I've listened to a lot of his comedy. I spent about 50 minutes today making a shepherd's pie, and during those 50 minutes, I did nothing but listen to a collection I made of all of his comedy, And the idea that he's above bawdiness, he is a bawdy comedian. I don't know what he thinks. I don't know if the fact he comes out and he often starts with a thing about Brexit. He is a bawdy comedian. He talks about sex and the fact his wife hates him and that women are nags. And then he goes back to fucking and then he implies that an audience member's gay. It's like end of the pier bawdy stuff. I don't know if he thinks his accent and his upbringing means he's not like bawdy. Maybe he just never enjoyed doing it. Maybe the woke made him say bawdy things.
Little Britain was underpinned by astute satire, pitch-perfect performances.
There's nothing wrong with being... Can I just say here, there's nothing wrong with being bawdy. There's nothing wrong with coming out and saying testicles. People love it, you know. Give the people what they want. They want to hear someone with a master's degree say testicles. Why not? There we go. We love it.
And keen, penetrating observations.
We love it.
It touched a nerve. It hit home, and it made people laugh. It became a successful show, not just on the BBC, but repeated elsewhere.
You've never said testicles on stage. Nikki, it's an easy win, honestly. It's an easy win. Sometimes you might see if I'm on stage, you might see a little smudge of ink or something there. That's all it ever says. It's just, if I get nervous, it'll be there. I'll just see through the sweat smudge. It will just say testicles.
On other channels, because it contained within it.
I hope you're not too averse to seeing this prick, Alec Watson, because that's all it is.
Some human truth, which is key to any good comedy. Comedy is the truth dressed up in a clown's outfit.
That I want to put that down as the first legendary Mark Dolan quote of the evening. Comedy is the truth dressed up in a clown's outfit. Can someone please add that to the Dolan phrase? Randomizer, please. Comedy is... No, it is
comedy.
Beautiful.
Comedy is the truth dressed up in a clown's outfit.
Comedy is the truth dressed up in a clown's outfit. That's so good.
Although I wasn't an avid viewer of this show, what I liked about Little Britain was its universality. It went after everyone in our society.
Not to do whatever, fact-checking or whatever, but it's interesting who he thinks it goes after and what comprises
The
everyone.
work-shy and unintelligible single mother Vicky Pollard, remember her? The only gay in the village, Daffyd Thomas. I'm the only gay in the village, you know. The cross-dressing Emily and Florence, responsible for the I'm a lady catchphrase. And wheelchair-bound Lou, who kept hopping out of his chair. And of course, that sketch featured his long-suffering carer, Andy.
So we've got everyone in society. We've got the disabled, transvestites, like the working class, or people on benefits, or single mothers. What was the other one that was mentioned? Like, we're not really we're dealing with like marginalized groups, aren't we? And the gay and the Welsh, yeah. But I guess so. Like, we're dealing with like, we're not dealing with like, I don't know. don't want to go all Marxist. There's no sketch about the factory owners, are there? There's no sketch about people who own linens, textiles factories in the northwest of England.
Confusingly, all of those characters could be accused of many forms of prejudice. Classism, snobbery, transphobia, homophobia, or in the case of Lou and Andy, an attack on the disabled.
Yeah. I guess someone
But
could
the
say
Beeb
that,
instead decided to remove Desiree de Vere, for which David Walliams donned a black makeup appearance and a fat suit.
Oh, so the censorious BBC, this is what I think so funny, the censorious BBC didn't ban all the offensive sketches, only blackface. Okay, why is that what you're angry about? It's similar to the mask thing of like, they allowed us some leeway on the masks, and now I hate masks. They only banned the blackface and left the other offensive stuff in, and now I hate the BBC for it. Why is that his first argument? I cannot understand what he's going for. Like, I cannot follow the logic of this.
A lady just as British as Vicky Pollard, David and Andy, but she gets the chop.
Like, excessive wokeness is when they don't censor as much as possible.
Does she not have a place in Little Britain? You tell me. But you can't have it both ways. The show was either offensive or it wasn't. You can't cherry pick which offensive bits to take out and which to leave in.
What, the idea that he wouldn't be making a segment if they took all the offensive bits out?
The answer is to leave well alone. As a portrait of modern Britain, this is a show that poked fun at all communities, all social classes, all backgrounds. It was actually diverse comedy at its very best. How can you have a comedy series about modern Britain that doesn't feature people from all backgrounds, races, creeds, colour or sexual orientation?
I love that he's treated like someone in blackface as a protected characteristic. I think there would have been a way to get a black woman appearing on the show that wasn't David Williams in makeup.
By mocking everyone, it was about the most inclusive show you can think of. Little Britain would surely have a far more serious case to answer if it...
Yeah. Actually, I'm quite intersectional, really, because you have removed a black woman from Little Britain. That was a voice. That was a voice that desperately needed bringing to the show.
Had omitted any races or groups from that show. To spare any group their satirical wrath would be an act of prejudice in itself. David Williams and Matt Lucas are a comedic double.
And this is where I think just Dolan's so good. It's mush, isn't it? And I know I've fallen for the trap I said I wouldn't do. I know I've fallen to the thing of being like, this doesn't make any sense. What he's saying is stupid. I think it's so beautifully mushy. I think he's not a good writer. He's not a good communicator. He just has the right accent, I think, or just people like his hair or something. I don't know what spell he casts on people. Maybe it's more like actually people who are this willing to do whatever it takes are actually quite rare. Maybe like that's what makes him a rare breed worth picking out from, you know, a stall of other goons. I just think listening to him is... What's the word? What's the opposite of hypnotizing? Infuriating.
Touched with genius. Not just the writing, but their fabulous performances, becoming whoever they dress up as, just like Peter Sellers used to do, and many others too. Icons of comedy.
And other people.
What about the amazing Eddie Murphy, Sacha?
Yeah, next you'll be saying Sacha Baron Cohen pretending to be from Kazakhstan was racist.
Baron
What's the
Cohen.
world coming to?
All of these people become somebody else in order to...
Sorry, he's explaining what acting is. He's gone from talking about censorship to being like, you know, the people you see on the screen, it's like Gandalf in Extras. Ian McKellen in Extras explaining that he's not really a wizard.
the world that we live in and to hold a mirror up to our own lives and our own society. But the meddling BBC have now been through this archive of comedy and removed troublesome parts, so-called problematic comedy. Except that all comedy worth its salt is problematic. It's got to be.
All comedy worth its salt is problematic. Sorry, did we not see your comedy? What did you talk about? You talked about how vegetarians are tired. You talked about how Greece might have a more stable economy than the UK under Brexit. He talks... It's very... He was not a dangerous comedian. He was not... what's his face? The guy who died, Bill Hicks, the dead guy. The dead guy who shouted the same material for 3 years and died. He wasn't him. He was very much, my wife hates me, why do they take so long in the bathroom guy? The idea that he thinks that comedy needs to be problematic.
We've seen this in the past with trigger warnings.
Yes, I saw his insipid and mid-comedy in the flesh many years ago. That's what's attuned me onto the Mark Dolan, well, let's say addiction.
Faulty Towers, and even certain episodes being pulled because of racial language, except in the case of Faulty Towers, it was the writer, John Cleese, who was mocking and satirizing the old colonel for being racist, for being out of touch, for being ignorant. But even an anti-racist message falls foul of the tone-deaf, illiterate censors. Whether it's decolonizing Shakespeare, banning the Rolling Stones from performing Brown Sugar, a song critical of slavery, which they will now never perform again, no one has the right to touch works of art. They exist as monuments to our story. Even if we now reject or hate what they represent. Some of Bernard Manning's routines, for example, repulse me. But they should sit there on YouTube as a chapter in our history to be understood. Western values of liberalism have eroded in recent years. We've seen the encroachment of totalitarian policies and values that a once freedom-loving country used to have but has discarded. Lockdowns to control the virus, not a Western idea. Cracking down on free speech, straight out of the Chinese Communist Party playbook. And look at the behaviour of the US tech giants and the worrying online harms bill here in the UK, which could make thinking the wrong things a hate crime. The hypocrisy, of course, is spectacular. Vladimir Putin and the Taliban are on Twitter, but Donald Trump is not. Go figure. If the BBC is willing to adulterate some of its greatest work because of modern sensibilities, what's next? The day irony died was a month ago when the University of Northampton placed a trigger warning on George Orwell's 1984, saying it contains explicit material which some may find offensive and upsetting. The book is a dystopian social science fiction novel which gave birth to popular phrases such as Big Brother and Thought Police. And now it's got a warning about safety. Art reflecting life, you couldn't make it up. Let me be clear. Something is happening, folks. The state and its institutions, fueled and supercharged by the pandemic.
Yeah, do we want to stop and talk about the 1984 thing? I mean, I can't remember all the contents of 1984. I think there's probably stuff that's worth putting a little content thing at the beginning for. It's not like he's picked a book that's like absolutely devoid of anything that would need a content warning. I think there's like lots of I think, doesn't a rat eat someone's head or something? Yeah, doesn't a rat eat a head? It's fair enough to be like, you don't want to think about head rat gore. Maybe give this a miss. But like, I think it would be ironic. Only if in 1984, what Big Brother rolls out is like, oh, careful, before you read this, you might want to know there's a content warning for the following.
Are performing a land grab of our economy, our language, our history, our thought processes, our education and our lives. Aided and abetted by the aforementioned tech companies like Facebook, Twitter and Google. Now, of course, times change and comedy changes with the times. I'm not sure you would make Little Britain now. Fair enough. But the point about Little Britain is that nobody came out of it well. The truth is that...
Yeah, I think it's hard to make like a really solid point that's against content warnings. Like, it's not in any sense saying don't read the book. It's just saying I don't know what like a good argument against it would be. Do you know what? I have the best argument against content warning, which I would never deploy. But like, I was once doing a really nice, inclusive night, and they wanted to know bits of what might be in my material so that if anything needed a content warning, and they're not saying don't do it, they're not saying don't do this thing, they're just saying we want to make sure that if there's anything in there anyone needs any advance warning about, we can flag it up. Fine, I have no problem with that. I was working on just completely new stuff, a lot of it trash, rubbish. And I had in there, I was trying to do this routine and a material about like feeling obligated to desires your younger self had that you no longer have. And like how I don't feel like I have any relationship or interest in anything I wanted as a child or a teenager or whatever. And I had these lines in it where I say, I feel like a fully grown adult that has somehow burst bodily out of a baby. And I liked the bees and I liked the imagery, but it was gross. And I was thinking, if someone did see a baby explode or something, I don't know what can happen in the in the maternity ward. I was saying there is a bit that's got like a sort of weird graphic imagery, and they went, no problem. When you come out, it'll say Sean Morley, and then it'll say content warning, child mutilation. And I said, I'm not performing. I'm not doing that. I'm not performing under that for the sake of a sentence. Absolutely not. If that's what it takes, I'll remove that. I'll remove that. I'll test that somewhere else. Is that an argument against concept warnings? No, it's just a sign that they're probably tricky to implement, and people are still figuring it out. But I can't let GB News find out about that anecdote, though, right? That would sink the ship. Yeah, you probably do. I just think it's a silly thing that happened. I just think they made a set of guidelines. It does make sense. This was an unexpected outcome of it. And I just think it was funny and mad to think about me trying to perform for 20 minutes underneath those two words and thinking, who's this helping then?
Comedy wound.
No, I just dropped the line. Well, do you know what? Maybe even I just explained, like, I think this is a bad idea. And they went, yeah. And even then, that's still the strongest argument against concept warnings.
Comedy attacks, comedy hurts. And it's got to be naughty. It has to be problematic.
He's always ready to drop a line. Always ready to drop a line.
Comedy hurts. And it's got to be naughty. It has to be problematic. Extreme political correctness will always be the death of comedy, because humour always requires a target and a victim.
You know, I had a big argument. Someone that I didn't even follow on Twitter came into a discussion I was having with someone else. And my point was, it was around time in comedy, the terminology of punching up and punching down was just becoming everywhere. Right? Everyone's talking comedy in terms of punching. And I was just trying to make the point, I don't know if comedy has to punch. I don't know if there needs to be any punching. And there was a comedian and writer who was a writer for Frankie Boyle, who was really aggressively adamant that comedy has to have a target. It has to victimize someone. And then I remember showing them like bits of comedy that were just like surreal or like non sequiturs, like Gen Z, just surreal online meme humor. And their argument for that was like, no, that does have a target. The target is you. You're the victim because you don't understand what's going on. Then like you're mad. you've had to fold your logic into a kind of trapezoid there to make me think that this just still stands up.
And it contains searing truths that will always make people uncomfortable. That's its job.
Can we clip It's Got to Be Naughty? You can.
The increasingly censorious atmosphere of this modern world, where people are afraid not just to make a joke on TV, but even in real life, in the office or at a dinner party or on the bus, this does us no favours at all. A college lecturer almost lost his job when joking in a shopping centre lift that he'd like to get out at the lingerie department. He almost lost his job for making a joke. Well, in my view, all of this is knickers.
He just says the maddest things. His level of confidence allows him to say such ridiculous sentences with the absolute confidence. And it's not just confidence. He's doing a diatribe about the state of the world. And he's like, this is knickers. Do you think it's like what he believes to be comic instincts are just kicking in?
Comedy is a bellwether, a litmus test for a free society, for freedom of speech, and more importantly, for freedom of thought. Whilst I didn't like his joke, I defend Jimmy Carr's right to do his horrible, deeply offensive gag about the Second World War. Or the comic who dropped me a C-bomb last week. Good luck to them. If the politically correct zealots have their way, they will kill comedy altogether. Let's be honest, given so much of the drab right-on stuff that we're currently seeing on TV, it's already heading that way.
Did he do it again? He's still doing it. It's much less so. Do you remember on Talk Radio where he kept bobbing like this? Kept bobbing up. he's still got a bit of it.
It's already
see it
heading that
here.
way. Comedy, folks, is another hill to die on, and the definition of a self-aware society which can laugh at itself. Comedy, unfiltered, uncensored, and unedited, gives us the chance to reflect, learn, and of course laugh. The alternative is a joyless dystopia where we can't laugh at anything.
The alternative is a joyless dystopia where we can't laugh at anything. I've been Mark Dolan. This is GB News. Isn't there something to delight at? Isn't there something? Do you know in the original H.G. Wells, the time traveler, he imagines a world where the British class system has split into two. And some of them are Morlocks and they live underground. And this was inspired by how many, like, the mines and also the massive expansion of the London Underground system. So everyone who's working class in London appeared to just be constantly underground, according to H.G. Wells. And then above, on the top land, are the Eloi, who just live off fruits that fall from the trees. And they live these silly little lives. And I think as class stratification and income inequality has just gone mad, I sort of enjoy, in this weird, perverse way, seeing the Eloification of certain people, where they're not making any sense. They don't have any specific competencies, but they just seem to be having this wonderful life of saying these things. And I just, didn't the Morlocks eat the Eloi? Well, that is the plan. Yes, the Burnzoid. But we cannot discuss that, unfortunately.
Go woke?
Yeah, you've got the gist.
No joke.
Oh, go woke, no joke. He says that on the other one. I don't want to watch the other one. You've got the sense of it. I want to zoom ahead in the timeline to when he is sacked by GB News. Now, this is when it starts to get tasty. He's just on his own now. There was a studio. He was lit. It was fine. Now imagine this guy got sacked. We don't know why. He claims to tell us why in this video, but he's making his own thumbnails. He doesn't have any help. This is the main course. This is when it gets really good. If you have enjoyed any of the little nuggets that I have enjoyed from the previous video, this is sumptuous. This is pure gravy. Any scoop on why he got sacked? The one thing I quite enjoy is that this implicitly a suggestion we'll find out in this video, but you absolutely don't. The Mark Dolan Show. But it's still wonderful. This was clearly made and released in such an absolute hurry. The script is bananas. The script for this is absolute trough mulch. And it is wonderful. It is highly quotable. Welcome to the 10 minutes of the rest of your life. I could get Mark on the stream, yeah. You'd have to tidy things up first.
Well, I have to say, that escalated, didn't it? Now, I've been at...
Quiet. Of course he is. He's in his spare room.
Well, I have to say, that escalated, didn't it? Now, I've been at GB News for 3.5 years. And
we don't know. What escalated? I don't know. I guess he's referring to the fact that he got sacked. But if you didn't know that...
It's been quite the journey. I left talk radio mid-pandemic in 2021, having gained global notoriety for radio.
When he leans forward like this, it looks like his head has been just AI added onto a different body. He looks like a little bit of a chibi. He looks like super deformed PS1 Japanese RPG.
Mid-pandemic in 2021, having gained global notoriety for chopping up one of those filthy, worthless, wretched face masks.
But you can wear one if you want. Honestly, if it makes you feel
safe. A perfect example of the kind of junk science at play that we saw during the madness of COVID. Now, I received absolute hell for that, and an almighty row with my pal Piers Morgan ensued, conducted over the national television airwaves. And I was subjected to a chilling investigation by the authorities before being fully exonerated and ultimately proved right. So, after all that drama, I received an invitation.
What this graphic, you're talking about the illustration he's using as the logo? Yeah, it's just supposed to represent that he's filming this from his house.
A fascinating invitation.
Well, do you know, he's doing a weird thing. This, honestly, is a document. I could talk about this 10 minutes over and over again. What is the purpose of what he's saying here? It's like he's pitching himself. It's like a CV of his spiciest moments. But to what end? Like, is that supposed to encourage you to be like, on other shows I did the following. So you could imagine I'd cut up a new piece of health department sanctioned protective wear if you watch this show.
To join a feisty, controversial
Thanks, it's me, sorry. That's an incredible contribution.
new startup called GB News. Now, when I came in, it had been going a matter of weeks with well-reported problems. Cameras were going down, microphones were dropping out, and presenters were going AWOL. So on my first day, the place was somewhat shell-shocked, and I reassured them that from the point of view of an outsider, the noise was actually a good thing. Because at that point, there wasn't anyone in the country that didn't know about GB News. And we built from there. Now, during my time at the channel, in which I was paid to have an opinion, I will have been right some of the time and wrong on other occasions. But there really isn't a syllable of anything I said across literally hundreds of shows and thousands of hours of output that I would change. I stand by it all.
I love this. I love how I'm saying, like, I stand by everything I've ever said, including all the times I was wrong. That's journalism. That's great. I was wrong quite a lot, but I stand by it all. Great.
Because I'm not one of those broadcasters who licks their finger, puts it in the air, and decides which way the wind is blowing. There are plenty of those around, industry stooges, fakes and phonies, and I'll be naming and shaming in the months ahead. But I'm different. I'm me. I just say what I think. On my GB News...
I'm different. I'm me. I love him. This is where the obsession took hold. I love it. Every other sentence is wildly quotable.
Show, Mark Dolan, tonight, I was the presenter who told a guest he was talking bollocks to his face. He was. I flung vegan bacon and ketchup around the studio, making, I'll be honest, a bit of a mess. And that was to make a point about processed food. And I lit up a cigarette live on air to push back on the nanny state, breaking not just broadcasting rules, but the leasehold rules of the building in which I was broadcasting. I could have got the channel evicted, but I had a point to make, and I wanted to make it in a way that everyone would notice.
So please hire me.
That's what I'm like. It's what I do best. But I want to take things up a level now, in terms of volume of output, in terms of quality, and in terms of impact. Which is why I've decided in 2025 to launch a brand new programme on this platform called, quite simply, The Mark Dolan Show.
I love how he's like, I made this decision to do this thing, but the video is called Sacked by GB News. So he's like, I made this positive choice for my life and my career in the country. But also, I didn't have a choice and I had to do something because I was just sacked.
Which will be the most fearless programme I've ever made, without the censorship of Ofcom getting in the way. So here I am, Dolan 2.0, a terrifying software update. Unshackled, uncensored, unapologetic, and unlimited. And I'm going to do it with you. I won't be restricted by the constraints of a TV or radio show with 4 ad breaks an hour, no news bulletins, and no management holding me back, suggesting that this time I might have gone too far. Now, let me tell you that my time at GB News was only positive. I want to thank my former bosses for a huge opportunity and a fantastic run. It is a terrific company.
What do people make of him? He's talking about, like, I'm a Hellraiser. I'm a firebrand. I'm going to tell it like it is. I was just sacked from this organization. By the way, I love my bosses. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, everyone who sacked me. Thank you to the people who let me go. Thank you. You were so good. I wouldn't mind having my job back. Also, I love that I'm doing the Mark Dolan show. This is what I need to do. Also, if I could just have my old job back, that would be nice.
With a
Thank
great
you.
culture, on air and off. In terms of my departure, well, let me just say that my numbers were outstanding. With my monologues alone clocking up tens of millions of views on digital platforms. Of course, those monologues are now exclusively for you. And they will now be punchier, edgier, naughtier, braver.
Yeah, I spent a while looking. What's this line? It's just the edge of the grid. As someone who's wrestling with a green screen several times a week. And also, you know what? There's a lot to have a go at him about. Green screens are fiddly, hey? Leave him alone. From one green screen user to another, I'll extend an olive branch there. Of course, you won't see it because olive branches tend to be green.
Only here, only on YouTube, and only on the Mark Dolan Show. Now, on my last ever show for GB News on Sunday the 15th of December 2024, I beat Sky News comfortably with double their audience. That's right, double their audience at 10 p.m. for my Take at 10 monologue. Let me tell you that leaving GB News was not my choice. I was fired. It took minutes. But let me tell you that they did it nicely.
Yes, one of the best lines. It's one of the best lines in the whole video. Oh. It took I was a firebrand. I generated so much income, so much views. I did so much. They sacked me politely but quickly, and now here I am.
I've received over 5,000 messages and counting from people all around the world expressing their disappointment, anger and confusion as to why this has happened, including some of the very biggest names in broadcasting.
Does he think it took minutes as a flex? I have racked my brain. This is a script, right? He's not talking off the bonds. He's written this down. So what does including the phrase "it took minutes" do for him there? Why is it in the script? Why is the script not improved by removing that? What was his instinct to say it? Like, why would anyone ever think to say that their sacking was incredibly quick? Maybe you forgot why you wrote. But even in your first draft, look, I think whenever you're writing anything, something motivates every sentence that you write. And then later on, you're like, it's not clear, or it's not good, or I've revealed something in my motivations that I shouldn't have done. What could possibly motivate that ever coming out of your mind into the script? It took minutes must mean, oh, okay, yeah. But then why even include the wrong impression just to correct? I can't follow it. I love it. I love it. It's such a strange couple of lines to include. I didn't suffer a long, drawn-out sacking. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Politics. Thank you so much for all of your messages. The post that I sent about my departure has now been seen 2.6 million times on X, which is quite something, and it's telling. Now, I want to thank GB News' bold and visionary management, and I want to thank my brilliant production team.
But not to belabor the "it took minutes" thing, but Grill, if he wanted to imply they were disrespectful, why then correct that impression moments afterward? They did it nicely.
On Mark Dolan tonight, for the extraordinary amount of hard work that they put into every programme. Let me tell you, I have made friends for life, cherished friendships, and that is a wonderful thing. Plus, it's my view that Britain needs GB News, and I believe it will prevail. But
Meanwhile, while I'm doing my own little independent thing, I really want to big up the much larger, the much more higher production values, has a real budget, has a cast. I really want to big those guys up who are putting out basically identical stuff to me. Go and check those guys out.
I'm going to prevail too, and then some, with an on-air product which will get the country and the world talking.
An on-air product. An on-air product. I could see if you're sending a PDF that's like the behind-the-scenes deal, you might call it an on-air product. You don't talk to the... Do you know, I see this so much with fucking YouTubers. You're talking to the consumer like they're another business. I don't want to consume an on-air product. What the hell are you talking about? I'm not a fucking shop. I'm not buying stock to sell on. You're producing a show. To me, you call it a show. You can call it an on-air product to a fucking sponsor. I just think it's a bit clueless just to say, here, it's the Mark Dolan product.
I can do more here than I could do over there. So watch me go. I also want to thank Dan Wootton, one of Britain's foremost journalists, and a man responsible for getting me over to GB.
Yeah, the Burnsoid, you're 100% right. This video, I will rewind this because you're starting a new thing. This video is trying to speak, it's trying to do like 3 jobs at once, and it's trying to speak to 2 audiences at once. It's a CV for other people to be like, oh, Mark Dolan's a rogue agent now. We can pick him up. Like, I don't know. I think he sent it to Tucker Carlson or something insane, right? He sent it to Fox News. He sent it to Alex Jones. I want to be Prison Planet 2.0. But it's also a public video to potential viewers of a new show. So it needs to have completely different language, a completely different message, a completely different framing. But he's also treating it like it's some kind of internal comms thing he's going to use to try and pick up a new job. Did you mention Dan Wootton? Yeah,
So
we'll
watch me
cover
go.
this now.
I also want to thank Dan Wootton, one of Britain's foremost journalists, and a man responsible for getting me over to GB News in the first place. It's therefore awful how things worked out. There was, of course, if you remember, the deeply regrettable episode with Lawrence Fox and a female journalist. Now, Dan was suspended and I was asked to step in and present the show. As a contracted employee, I didn't have much choice in the matter. The boss calls you up, asks you to present a show, you're going to do it. Now, Dan's absence and ultimately...
See, this is where I think that this as a document's great, because if you just like watch several Mark Dolan videos back to back, he'll contradict himself amongst them. But here, it's like just not even like it's like different paragraphs should belong in different videos or different like completely different contexts. He's just told us he's a firebrand, he's dangerous, he doesn't put his finger to the wind, he is absolutely principled and moral, and he does what you think is right. But also, my friend who got me onto the show was sacked, and they asked me to take his job, and I just didn't have a choice, so I had to sort of betray him in that way. So what can I do? I'm just a working stiff, you know? I'm just a working stiff. I've just got to do what the boss tells me. It's not a long enough video for us to have forgotten how you're telling us, like, you're an independent free thinker and you don't give a shit about what anyone tells you to do. Sorry, yeah, I just had to take my friend's job after they sacked them. Yeah, it does look a bit like I betrayed him a bit there, because he was the one who got me this job at this studio. What can I do? It's just old Muggins here. It's just old Marky
His
Dolan.
departure was, of course, not my decision and beyond my control.
Yeah, I didn't sack him.
He was a huge loss to the channel, and in my view, has not been replaced. But I didn't hesitate at the time in saying that what Lawrence Fox did was wrong. However, did the punishment fit the...
Grill, I think you're absolutely right. I think he just had to get this out. He had to get it out before Christmas. He was sacked right before they were breaking up for the holiday. When was this out? Maybe it was a bit before Christmas. 3 weeks ago. So what? Oh, the 20th of December. Okay. He was sacked right before Christmas. Merry Christmas,
crime
you were
for
out.
both men.
So you had to get this out quick.
I have my doubts. Both of them are entitled to feel aggrieved. But of course, there is a background to this. There's a context and a long history there. Nothing is black and white. What I will say,
Of course, there's context. There's just context, there's just context there. Nothing's black and white.
is that
Anyway, moving
blaming
on.
me is like blaming the pedestrian watching a car crash unfold.
Yeah, this is now. This is the bleeding edge of the present.
Now, in the last 24 hours, on his excellent show, Dan Wootton Outspoken, let me tell you, I'm a happy subscriber.
Oh, hang on. Was Dan... Sorry, just a penny's dropping now. Dan Wootton was sacked, and so he just made his own YouTube show, maybe? So is Mark just doing that? He's just doing what Dan did?
Has said that I threw him under the bus and that I was, and I quote, management's bitch at GB News. No, I was doing my job. And as always, I said what I thought at the time. And let me be clear.
Hang on. Mark at this moment is saying, I said something and it made sense because I thought it at the time. But didn't he say at the beginning of this video that everything he's ever said, he stands by right now?
I am nobody's bitch. But if I am, well, then the bitch is back.
I love him. I love this man. He says I just love him.
Nobody's bitch. But if I'm, and let me be clear, I am nobody's bitch. But if I am, well, then the bitch is back.
I think it adds a lot more when you remember that before he said, I am nobody's bitch, but if I am, then the bitch is back. He precedes that with, let me be clear. I think he says sort of a wildly unclear, confusing, confident, half self-owned declaration of supremacy. Let me be clear, I'm not a bitch, but if I was a bitch, then I'm here. Hello. Just to paraphrase, I'm not a bitch, but if I am, then I've returned. Oh, he's wonderful, highly quotable. You can't write stuff this good. I don't think he has. I don't know how these sentences have arrived on the earth.
And it's all about the future now. I'm going to use my capacious contacts book.
Yeah, the first draft went, pick one of these. You're either not a bitch or the bitch is back. And then he's reading it live. And he's like, just put an or.
Of the most compelling and unpredictable voices in media, politics and sport. And I'm going to tap into my almost reckless instinct to entertain and inform you.
But not actually reckless, just to be clear. I'm almost reckless, but if you're a sponsor, please know it's not actually.
I will say it as I see it. I will always give you evidence-based opinion. This is not the home of playing to the crowd, of playing to the gallery, of telling you what you want to hear. I want to tell you what you don't want to hear. This is not the home of divisive tribalism or shallow populism. It's not the home of lies, exaggeration, or easy answers. My focus, my motivation, that which guides me, will be one thing and one thing alone. The truth. Something that you won't find in most establishment media, as demonstrated during the pandemic, which was a literal festival of state-sponsored misinformation. So, Mark Dolan, the Mark Dolan Show, we're back. It's going to be a wild adventure. I'm going to say what I think. I'm going to have world-class guests. I'm going to innovate. I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to be me times 100. And
can we conclude that as one of the all-timers? I'm going to innovate. I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to be me times 100. Put that on a chopping board and let me hang it on my kitchen wall. It is so good. That is the live, laugh, love of the huckster generation. It's incredible. Please put that in the randomizer. Oh, how can he be back? Well, he's just back on the airwaves in a very vague sense, I suppose. Oh, can I hear that again?
I'm going to innovate. I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to be me times 100.
I'm going to innovate. I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to be me times 100. Simply wonderful. I can't hate him. I can't hate him. I know he's evil, but I also think he's like an automaton. I think he's like a golem. I think he's just he just wants attention. You know, he's just an attention golem, and I can't hate him for that. You know, like when a dog bites someone, I don't think the dog's evil. You know, I just think it's just a dog. Must have been angry. You can. That's fine. That's fine. I just think there's something. I just think he's funny. I just think he's really funny. He makes me laugh right from the pit of my stomach. He makes me laugh from my intestines. He'll say these sentences, and I find them explosively amusing. And that's gold dust to me. I'm very jaded. I've consumed a lot of comedy. I'm absolutely pickled. My sense of humor is absolutely wrecked. And if this is what it takes to push that button, then I'm going to load him up.
And unlike the steady stream of warm diarrhea passing as news that comes out of your radio and TV these days, the Mark Dolan Show will fearlessly pursue the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Especially if it's uncomfortable.
Do you know what? Actually, I hate him. Do you know what? I hate this guy. Hello, Martine. You have arrived when we are knee deep, maybe more than knee deep. Maybe we're belly button deep in learning about this guy, Mark Dolan, a comedian turned reactionary pundit who then got sacked from a right-wing news station and is now trying to launch a YouTube show. He says very ridiculous things, not just ridiculous, like untruthful, wappy nonsense. He just has very stupid way of talking. And
because the facts don't care about your feelings.
That's not
also,
your phrase.
On the Mark Dolan Show, I will smash narratives. We don't follow scripts here. And I'll be challenging received wisdom on any number of topics. The science isn't settled, and so-called experts are there to be challenged, not slavishly followed.
Earlier on, he said he's going to do evidence-based reporting, and now he's also saying science sort of as a concept. The jury's out on science.
And if I'm told that certain topics are out of bounds, well, then those are the topics that I will go for first. Nothing's off the table. Nothing is spared scrutiny. Nothing is spared my knowing gut and my seeing eye.
Also, one of my absolute favourites. Let's catch that again. Nothing is spared my knowing gut and my seeing eye.
Nothing is spared my knowing gut and my seeing eye.
Is that as insane as it sounds? That sounds like that sounds like the single maddest sentence in here. Is that a phrase? Has anyone heard this? Nothing is spared my knowing gut and seeing eye. It is a phrase. It is a phrase. Knowing guts and seeing eye. That's a phrase, is it? If I Google that, will that go like, oh yeah, everyone says that? An all-seeing eye. Yeah, I've heard of all-seeing eye, but a seeing eye is very standard. A seeing eye is commonplace, isn't it? Like a walking leg, a gripping hand. We're talking about like the very common versions of these things, right? I've not heard it. We're agreeing it's mad. Good.
So, over Christmas, I'll be plotting, scheming, planning, and making calls. 2025 is going to be a big year. I know you'll join me because I can't do this alone. So let's make history together because I'm putting you at the heart of this show. It will be a family, a community, and a friendship in which you have a stake. So Mark Dolan.
It's a community. It's a family. It's a friendship. You are all stakeholders. Oh, Mark, that's not a word people use about communities or friendships. We're just like a family. I'm a stakeholder. You're a stakeholder. We have shares
Dolan
in the company.
Tonight on GB News has not gone far from it. It has merely changed location. And I'm loving our new neighbourhood. So have a great Christmas and a happy new year. And let me tell you that you need to have a well-deserved break because in January, we've got work to do.
That is Mark Dolan's emergency announcement that he's starting his YouTube channel because he's been sacked from GB News. And the reason this stream is happening tonight, oh, fucking hell, it's 90 minutes long. Oh, God. Okay. I didn't think it'd be 90 minutes long. I was going to say his new 90 minutes long. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, it was released 32 minutes ago. That's why this is happening tonight. Well, before that, let me just show you this short. This episode, his launch episode of his Mark Dolan show, he did a YouTube short to announce it, and it starts with the worst comparison of all the things he said. This must be the most ill-judged opening comparison to start an announcement for like a media career with.
Like a stubborn case of chlamydia, I'm back.
Why has he said this? He's a journalist. Why has he said this? I know it's a joke, but I just think it's very ill-judged.
The legal papers are signed, and I have officially left GB News, which means that I can announce that the first ever Mark Dolan show will air tomorrow, Friday the 10th of January.
Has he put a little lower third chyron here? Why? He's not to remind you he was on the telly. I've never seen anyone put a lower third on a YouTube
at
short.
6 p.m. Subscribe to my brand new YouTube channel, The Mark Dolan Show, so you don't miss out. Now, the turmoil on the financial markets today demonstrates that Labour have destroyed the British economy and they are destroying the country. But they're about to get some hardcore opposition. I'll do everything I can to save Britain. And I want you all now to help.
I'm doing a new show. The concept is I'm going to try and save Britain. What's over here? It's a little obscured. You know what? There's nothing interesting here. It's just welcome back from his supporters. Congrats, welcome back. Blah blah blah. We got it. All right.
Megan is.
So here's what we're here for. This is exploratory. Everything up until this point I thought was grade A gold. It was just the Mark Dolanverse. We're just getting to know who is this guy. But now I need to discover, this is my own personal professional announcement, a la our hero Mark Dolan. Is there anything to be made of watching this on stream? Is there anything? Is it enjoyable? Is there any fun to be had? Is it just too despicable? Is it just too annoying? Is there any fun to be had here? I'm going to give us a while with it, and then we'll find out. And
It's
then
like
we'll
a
know.
drown. This is going to be controversial too. Megan is like a drowning rat. She's looking for something to hold on to every which way. Leaves, trees, I don't know.
Fool's errand.
She's thinking
Sounds
about
good.
how she can get attention.
Some people I've spoken to, people in the know, would estimate possibly 250,000 young girls have been abused, systematically abused.
Starmer's Labour Party don't have that. They're more ideological, they're more closely guarded, and there is no one at the top of this Labour.
This has only just gone live, so the view count it has now is not very reflective, but it has 800. But I think it will have tens of thousands. Probably. The low tens of thousands.
Or around the top of this Labour government who really
why
gets
is he doing this?
financial markets.
He's
If they were
gurning.
there, I would know them, and I don't.
Great.
Busy show coming up, a Mark Dolan show exclusive as I reveal the full scale and horror of the grooming gangs scandal. Plus, have Labour bankrupted Britain? Has
It's so funny to start with this kind of bluegrass honky tonk, and then but there's a kind of a comedic. I don't know. It feels slightly comedic. I thought he was going to start with a joke, but no, we're going straight into grooming
Elon
gangs.
Musk lost the plot? And will Donald Trump be a better president second time round? I've got some huge guests and some big headlines to make, but we start with my hot take. Happy New Year. It is fantastic
Happy
to
New
be
Year,
back,
Mark.
and I have missed you hugely.
Now, I was dramatically removed from the national television airwaves just before Christmas. After 3.5 years at the UK-based current affairs channel GB News, I was taken into a quiet office, one that I've never seen before, always a red flag, and subjected to a Goodfellas-style assassination. Now, many of
I thought they did it nicely. I thought he was just saying they were so kind
want
to
to
him.
know why I was fired. Me too. At 10 p.m. on my final show, my ratings were double our closest competitor, Sky News, with my final take at 10 monologue sitting on almost 1/3 views on YouTube. I'll be frank, I'm a numbers monster. Now, at this
Yes, he's still got the juice. He still has the juice. I'll be frank, I'm a numbers monster. I love it. I just think it's so funny when he comes out with this stuff. I just think that's so good. Can we put that in the randomizer? Is anyone keeping up with this? Thank you so much. I'll be frank, I'm a numbers monster. I absolutely
this rather
love it.
clinical meeting, I was simply told that they wanted to freshen the lineup. And there was a suggestion that the shows should be bigger than the presenters. So maybe I got a little too big for my boots. Did I drop too many truth bombs? Did I too often...
Sorry, is he saying GB News was worried that the Mark Dolan brand was so huge it was like overshadowing them? Is that what he's saying? I was too good at my job.
often challenge the prescribed political and cultural narrative?
God.
Was my hair a little chaotic for establishment media?
A bit too dangerous for you. Oh, what's the matter, GB News? You can deal with the wokerati, but you cannot begin to fathom the power of the Dolan Barnet. Oh, do you know what? I've got my transform settings are all wrecked here, so I'm just going to reset the transform on that. I wanted to make his hair big, but it's not happening.
Is this shirt too pink? We will never know.
He's never worn a pink shirt on GB News. I've never seen a clip of him wearing a... Hang on. What? Mark Dolan, GB News, has he worn the pink shirt on GB News? No, white shirt. Oh, these are just... Can we scrub in? White shirt. Yeah, he's got a white shirt on here. I think he wears a white shirt. I think he's suggesting...
Weeknight.
I think he's suggesting he got sacked in the past because of a shirt he's wearing today.
Now, I will say that the GB News management were very nice about the whole thing, and I've got no complaints about how everything was done. I wish the channel and its army of excellent broadcasters, journalists and producers all the very best for the future. I think GB News will thrive, and I think that it should thrive. Britain needs GB News. But there's something that I would argue it needs even more.
Okay, I don't know what he's going to say next, but I just want to hype it up. Hype up whatever's coming out of his mouth next. He's saying GB News is important, but it can't provide this X factor, this special ingredient. And what is it? What's the thing that only Mark Dolan can provide? It is
The Mark Dolan Show, a daily programme Monday to Thursday, giving you the hot take on the biggest stories of the day, without the limitations of government media regulator Ofcom, long ad breaks, or pen-pushing management types telling me that I've gone too far.
I guess the one, if you want to give him a bit of credit, and I don't, so I don't know why I'm saying this, the fact he doesn't have Ofcom means he could light up a cigarette or something.
Now, I'm actually very happy. I had a brilliant 3.5 years at the old place, and I thank them for a colossal opportunity, plus the friends for life that I've made whilst working there. But I'm also happy because this is the biggest opportunity of my career, to enter the new frontier of current affairs broadcasting, the digital world. We know full well that traditional TV is in decline, in a crisis of its own making. How so? Well, because the establishment TV and radio networks don't care what you think.
So, when it says the establishment TV and radio networks, does that include GB News? Like, is GB News the establishment now, but also I love them and Britain
And in
needs
some
them?
cases, hate what you think. That's right. They take the view that your opinions are somewhat embarrassing, and that's why they have lost their audience. We know full well that traditional TV is in decline, in a crisis of its own making. How so? Because the establishment TV and radio networks
Did I do that? Did I
don't
go
care
back?
what you think. And in some cases,
Did I click something and go backwards? I
that's right. They take the TV is in decline, in a crisis of its own making. How so? Well, because the establishment TV and radio networks don't care what you think, and in some cases, hate what you think. That's right. They take the view that your opinions are somewhat embarrassing, and that's why they have lost their audience. We know full well that traditional TV is in decline, in a crisis of its own making.
No.
How so? Because the establishment TV and radio networks
No, it's
don't
just gone
care
back.
what you think, and in some cases, hate what you
No, he's just put the same clip in twice. He hard cuts to a bit just a few minutes
think,
earlier.
and look down on you as the great unwashed, uneducated scum.
Oh, it's another take. It's an alternate take. He did his first take. Look, watch. His first take ends with, they think you're a bit embarrassing, and then his second take is, they
I'm also
think you're
happy
scum.
because this is the biggest opportunity of my decline, in a crisis of its own making. How so? Well, because the
Take one.
establishment TV and radio networks don't care what you think, and in some cases, hate what you think. That's right. They take the view that your opinions are somewhat embarrassing, and
that line he didn't like because it was too tame. They think your opinions are somewhat embarrassing. That's quite
That's
even-handed.
why they have
Let's
lost
hear what he
their
prefers.
audience. We know full well that traditional TV is in decline, in a crisis of its own making. How so? Because the establishment TV and radio networks don't care what you think, and in some cases, hate what you think, and look down on you as the great unwashed, uneducated scum.
Brilliant. Take two. I want to say that the traditional legacy media think
Look
we're
how they
scum
reported
instead.
Brexit, as though it was a problem to be solved rather than a vast opportunity to be grabbed.
Oh, hang on. So, for anyone joining us now, we watched his comedy. And from 2015 to 2019, he would do jokes about how Brexit was a huge mess. He did a joke in 2015 at Chorlefast Fringe about how he wants to move to Greece. This was during like the Eurozone crisis, because he wanted to say that Greece would have more economic stability than the UK going through Brexit. He even opened an award ceremony for Leicester Mercury, saying how badly Brexit was going for businesses. But I guess that was just the woke karate made him say
We've
that.
seen the same issues in America, except the 80 million people who voted for Donald Trump can't all be characterized as redneck, xenophobic, bigoted thugs. Nor can the millions of people in this country who are sick of being told by establishment media that we must buy electric cars and give up meat to save the planet, with policies that impact the poorest in our society and obviously bankrupt the country, whilst India, China and the United States burn fossil fuels for fun. What about the millions of people in
Just for
this
fun.
country who think borders are there for a reason and consider the illegal crossings in the Channel to be a national security, humanitarian and economic disaster?
Bread.
Of course, they're right, but you wouldn't know that if you watched the BBC. What about the millions of people who welcome orderly immigration, people many of whom are descended from immigrants themselves, who consider legal net migration of 1 million people?
Oh yeah, SK makes a good point. The way he there's a sort of a light gradient of white to blue behind his head, and it looks a lot like a sun disk. Christian
Bread.
sun disk imagery. Where you'll see Christian imagery disc behind head. Maybe originally its pagan origins were sun discs from Egyptian sun worship. But yeah, there we go. That's a very cut and dry sun disc. Halo, is that what you call them? Amazing.
In 1 year to be
Sun
absurd,
disc.
damaging, dangerous, and
you not say sun
unworkable.
disc?
Now, immigration is a great thing. I am the son of Irish immigrants myself, but immigration without integration, immigration without assimilation.
You know what? Say what you like about Mark Dolan. He did integrate, didn't he?
And immigration without even bothering to learn a language or contribute to the economy is deeply wrong.
Brad.
I'll never forget the US politician who told me on my old talk radio.
That white building is St. Whoever's Cathedral. It looks a lot like an American Washington, D.C. building, but there's a London building that looks like that. Lots of places have them. I don't... King of Time could probably tell you a lot about it. Yeah, Gomeldon's pitched it. St. Paul's. What are those things?
That people come to America as immigrants and that they're welcome to do so, but must become Americans. They don't have to discard or throw away their history, of course not. Their culture, their religion, or even their language at home. But they go to America to participate in the American project.
Oh, yeah, Crispin, I'm not saying that Mark's cool. Please don't
Its
misunderstand me.
ideals, its values, its ambitions, its aspirations. So people that come to the UK, like my parents,
Yeah, is that all right, Grill? Is that all right? Or are you going to censor
in
me?
the 1960s must become British, which is not what we're seeing with ghettoized parallel communities and vicious subgroups ignoring the rule of law at the so-called peace marches in central London and elsewhere, which have led many Jewish people to be afraid of leaving the house at the weekend. Welcome to modern Britain. Now, the failure of integration and the crisis of the multicultural experiment is evidenced most acutely in the appalling evil crimes of the Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs, who were able to exact this sexual violence on young children and still do with impunity, thanks to woke police officers, politicians, and local council officials who are more worried about cultural sensitivities and community tensions than protecting kids. In just a moment, in a Mark Dolan Show exclusive, I'll be speaking to the top lawyer who has handled many of these cases, who tells me,
I love on a show like this when someone gets rolled out and their title is top lawyer. Whenever you hear someone introduced just as top lawyer, a little background check on them reveals a lot of interesting
that
things.
upwards of 250,000 young girls may have been the victims of these monsters.
If we do have like a proper in-depth stuff on grooming gangs, I'm just skipping it. We're not gonna bother on that. It's too long to spend any time on the grimmest stuff.
It might be the most extraordinary interview I've ever done, certainly the most distressing, and I urge you to watch it and share it far and wide. Now, this show will go out on YouTube as an entire program, but each interview will also appear as a separate video, which you can watch and share. I've also started a
Yeah, it did feel a bit like a content warning, but that's fine because it's only for a really, really important interview everyone must watch, and not just a funny little book
stack,
about.
and I
Big
would
Brother.
encourage you to join so that you can watch the whole of this show ad-free with bonus material, extra monologues, live chat with me.
I am very confident it's ad-free because he hasn't made enough content to put ads on it. I don't think ad-free could possibly be a choice for a
Live
channel.
videos and much more. Just head to markdolan.com. Now, this new show, The Mark Dolan Show, is for the millions of people who...
Oh, I didn't pass out what he was saying there at all. So he's saying there's a markdolan.com which contains an extra... Is that going to be like where his Patreon is, or... Like what? Oh, I was on this just the other day. He's absolutely changed it. No thanks. Oh, and then we're in. Oh, okay. He's made a whole new website. I literally was on this last week. Okay, what can we see? Notes? No, there's no notes. Chat? What? What is this going to be? Open on web. Okay, there's a subscriber Substack. Sounds good. I'm not too Mark Dolan pilled yet, but I do want to see what's in here. I do want to look in here and see. Full episodes, yeah. Corporate. Mark Dolan has been. This is written by Arthur, so this is just written by. I wonder who Arthur is. Click on Arthur. This is my company profile. I'm still figuring out when to use it versus my long-standing creative Substack output at Arthur Meek. So do you think this was just the guy who made the website? Or he's just a big believer in Substack? He's just a Substack guy? Yeah, why is he called what? Yeah, let's find out who Arthur Meek is. Arthur Meek at substack.com. At the top, the tab says profit and delight, but then nothing loads. I can scroll. There's a scroll bar. I'm scrolling up and down, nothing. Should I try Chrome? Yeah, Chrome works. Okay, so this is probably another Substack? Yes, okay. Who are you? About. What is profit and delight? Poets wish either to profit or to delight, or to deliver at once both the pleasures and the necessities of life. That was written by Horace. I've always had a way with words. Yeah, we're doing this now. My heart is in the theatre. I left home at 18 and travelled from New Zealand to London to intern at Shakespeare's Globe. I watched Mark Rylance play Hamlet at least a dozen times. I went to drama school in New Zealand and worked primarily in theatre for more than a decade. As a playwright, actor, and producer, my are performed in venues ranging from 50 to 450 seats. They've toured the world and are even studied in schools. Not much. Theatrical success brought me opportunities in radio, TV, and film. It took me to New York as the Arts Foundation Harriet Friedlander New York residence. I stayed on for 5 or 6 years. I met the love of my life and married her. This doesn't tell us. Do you know what? This guy's a playwright, isn't he? Or a poet? Why is he writing? Why is this poet writing or playwright or whatever? Why is he written the corporate tab on Mark Dolan's page? It could be a $5 hire. I don't know. I think this guy just has enough money sitting around. He doesn't need to be on Fiverr. Hello, Harry. Oh, you've missed a stream. You've missed a stream that was, I think, tailor-made for you. We've still got a bit left. I'm just on Mark Dolan's new website. Why subscribe? For fearless, honest, and provocative analysis of the biggest stories of the day. The word boring is not in my vocabulary. Let's get to work. Welcome to the home of Mark Dolan. This is good. Exiled from establishment media. This is your go-to place for all of my content, ad-free and uncensored. The great irony is that being fired from my mainstream job has given me more freedom than I've ever had in my entire career. And I'm going to be using that freedom to give you fearless, honest, no-holds-barred material. The world is changing at an alarming rate and not in a direction anyone voted for. I'm here to create a community of like-minded free thinkers, people who are able to engage their brain, open their eyes, open their ears, a community of people with critical judgment who will actually speak out when things don't make sense or add up. During the pandemic, when I pushed back against the madness of COVID measures, for which we are now all paying an economic, health, and societal price, people came up to me and said, "Thank you. You kept me sane." And that's what I intend to do here. Give you a voice and keep you sane, as it becomes increasingly clear that traditional media outlets can't be trusted. I have no agenda. I'm not affiliated to any political party. I have voted for all of them over the years, and all have let me down, and they've let you down too. Like you, I feel politically homeless. So I want this place to be a homecoming for all of us. You're all going to get the best of my work. Polished, crafted journalism, opinion humour, ad-free, and all from the heart. But you're also going to get me, warts and all. I'll show you my personal side, share my innermost thoughts, and jump on regular live video streams late at night, reflecting on breaking news and the big current affairs stories of the day. You will get the best of me, the worst of me, and everything in between. I'm all yours. Join the crew. Oh, he's great, isn't he? He's mad. He's fully pickled. So what has been written by Arthur at Substack on the corporate tab? Mark Dolan has been hosting and performing comedy at corporate events for the last 2 decades. Entrusted by some of the biggest brands in the world, Mark has fronted events and products for launches for Apple, Samsung, Sony, Stella Artois, Imperial Tobacco, Sky, Express Newspapers, and many more. Mark offers a tailored approach, consulting with the client at great length in order to ensure a highly successful event. Mark is a charming, intelligent, and witty host, bringing a wealth of experience and professionalism to any corporate event. I guess that's why he had someone else write it. It would feel mad for him just to say it about himself, but I don't think he'd bother him too much.
Who were sick of Britain and its history being demonised. Yes, our national story is a complex one, rife with bloodshed and crime, but if you ask me, we're the very best of a bad lot.
Is Britain a shit country? Yes. But they're all shit countries, and we're the best of the shit countries. Arthur works for Substack. Huh. Also, why? Oh, if you sent a link so long that it hasn't formatted, that's not supposed to happen. Probably won't happen often, though. How is it? I guess they consider him like a big get for Substack.
Having gifted the world parliamentary democracy, a free press.
Gifted. Do you want... Hey, everyone, do you want this? Would you like this if your own free choice?
Open markets, the Industrial Revolution, and...
Oh, yeah, thank God for open markets.
We were the first developed nation to expensively end the great crime of slavery by sacrificing both blood and treasure.
Yeah, yeah, but you did slavery. you did the slave trade. I don't think you can net that down as a win.
This show is for those who crave a colourblind society, which was the dream of Martin Luther King, not the divisive race.
Oh, this is coming too thick and fast. He's hitting too many key points at once. Martin Luther King's I have a dream of a society where everyone says I don't see colour. This is too much. The custard has gotten too thick. I can only feel the lumps.
Grifting of the so-called be kind woke left, who even my old school lefty mates despise.
It's too much. I feel like I'm drinking gravy. It's something I like, but it's too excessive. I'm dying. It's too much. It's too rich. I'm overpowered.
This show is for everyone. It's for those on the left, on the right, in the middle, and the politically homeless.
What does that mean? Politically homeless isn't a place on the left to right spectrum. Politically homeless is when an area on the left to right spectrum isn't represented in parliamentary democracy. I thought there was an understanding that that's what that meant. But maybe politically homeless is like there's left, there's right, and you go from left to right, and there's another category somewhere else called politically homeless. I just can't go on the line. Oh, sorry, it's just coming through so fast. Everything he's saying is it feels really wedged. It feels like a big backed up pipe has suddenly opened.
For the woke, it is not.
Also, it's great to know that this is for the left as well. I obviously am watching it from a left-wing perspective, and I wonder in what conceivable way he believes that's being catered for. There's absolutely no point thinking about it. It doesn't mean anything. He doesn't mean anything by it. I think people who are on the right like to say, "I'm just for everyone. This is just anything." I am actually enjoying it. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I am enjoying it.
I'm going
yeah.
to make
Fair
life very uncomfortable for you, and I'm going to take you down. So suck it up, losers.
Sorry, what am I missing here? What's he saying?
It is not. I'm going to make life very uncomfortable for you, and I'm going to take you down. So suck it up, losers.
So good. He's so good. That was aimed at the woke. I thought the woke is the left. Hang on, let me catch this all again.
This show is for everyone. It's for those on the left, on the right, in the middle, and the politically homeless.
Yeah, all four groups. Yeah.
For the woke, it is not. I'm going to make life very uncomfortable for you.
No,
and
you're
I'm going
not,
to take
you're
you
not
down.
welcome.
So suck it up, loser.
Yeah, the left. The left, yes, but the woke, no. So who are the non-woke left? It's a group I've never heard anyone talk about. Who are the non-woke left? ANCAPs. Yeah, okay, sure. Tankies? I don't know. Is it not woke to want to, even tankies want to redistribute wealth, right? And lower rents and stuff. Marxist Leninists? Yeah, was Lenin woke? I don't know. Lenin was big into Lenin was definitely a feminist, right? Equality amongst the sexes was like massive under like early communism. Is that not woke? I'm sure there is no group that actually exists that is on the left wing of the political spectrum that he wouldn't also call woke.
This show is for the millions of people who are sick of being told that men are women and women are men, and that is the law, contradicting every biology textbook in existence and the world's leading fertility expert, Professor Robert Winston, who suffered outrageous abuse and death threats for pointing out on national TV that you can't change your sex and that every cell in your body is gendered. Who knew? Now, I'm very pro-trans. I've got close friends that have been on that important journey. There are trans people who feel they're in the wrong body and they deserve love, support, respect, and equality under the law. But not at the expense of actual women's safety, their dignity and privacy, and of course, the integrity of women's sport. So,
yeah, the I'm very trans is like, well, wear a mask if you like. I don't mind it. Also, it's evil. It does all these things. I think, yeah, you have to include these little, what would you call them? Just like caveats? Just a caveat. I actually love everyone. Like, you see sometimes people go like, I actually love everyone. I love the human race. I love everyone in it. Anyway, this subgroup
called gender identity ideology, which argues that men are women now and forever. And if you disagree, you are a bigot. Well, I'm a...
Sorry, what's gender ideology? It's people who say all men are women. Yeah, fair enough. You know what? Whoever's saying that, I think they are wrong. The gender ideology say there's no such thing as men. It's only women. Do you know what? I think that's wrong
I'm
as
afraid
well.
this is just once again men bullying women.
Hashtag there are no men.
The story of history. It is sexism in a skirt. It is patriarchy in heels. It is misogyny in lipstick. Now, this show is for the millions of people who are sick of not being able to express their political views at work, in the pub, or even at home. This is a show for the millions of people whose opinions 10 years ago were moderate and mainstream and are now classed as extremist. Border control, the rule of law, human biology, loving your country, not caring about someone's race, only their character, free speech, wanting to read books that haven't been adulterated by a blue-haired, nose-ring-clad sensitivity reader.
for the people wanting to watch funny comedy on TV again.
Oh, that's me. I'm one of those groups.
This show is for the millions of people who don't want their children at primary or elementary school, aged 5, being asked.
Blue hair is virtue signaling, Buzzword. Don't you get it? You can't change your hair. Don't you know that your hair color is in every cell of your body? You might think you've dyed it blue, but it's still whatever, brown or blonde or
whether
whatever.
they are a boy or a girl today, or being.
How many views we on? Not 1,000, but it's literally only just come out. I don't think any the number now won't tell us won't tell us
Being
loads.
told to apologise for some imagined crime of their ancestors in history. I'll be honest, it was the pandemic that really engaged me politically, which radicalised me and opened my eyes. That was the moment that I understood that those who lead us do not.
Oh, yes, good catch, Albert. Yes, imagined crime. So, like, he's already brought up, didn't we already hear about slavery? So was that... the slave trade was imaginary, but stopping it was real and
not always
valiant.
have our best interests at heart. Now, COVID was a nasty virus, and it claimed too many lives.
Nasty.
But the illiberal, authoritarian response, absurd lockdowns, masking, and vaccine tyranny has caused an
It is interesting. Like, he was a really bland guy until... I just think COVID pickled people. I think it just sent... I just think COVID sent this guy mad. Loads of people went mad, right? Wasn't there a whole thing about, like, crunchy yoga mum Instagrams were turning people into, like, full-on fascists? There were, like, these rabbit holes you can go into. Like, he wasn't this guy. There's no actual rumblings. Like, we watched his comedy. He was... Whoever he thinks is like the muesli-eating London media liberal elite, that was him. That was him in 2019. And then in 2020 is like, I hate that. I think colonialism is a figment. I just think it's interesting. And also, you know, wildly rewarding. You know, he clearly had a much better career once he did that. If it just stops being so economically rewarding, fewer people might go
entire generation
mad.
of people to no longer trust the so-called experts and those in power. And why should they? Look at the economical and societal damage of the COVID response for a virus that posed the vast majority no mortal threat, but which has effectively bankrupted the country and destroyed people's lives. Compare countries that had strict measures versus those that didn't. You won't find a difference. Sweden and Texas and Florida in the United States, they all took a light touch approach, with Sweden boasting the lowest excess deaths in the whole of Europe for 2020 to 2023, beating even their Scandinavian neighbours. And they didn't do lockdowns, they didn't do the mask.
There's no point. There's no point. This is a key time to remember our we're not here to fact check policy. Because I think if we end up becoming a fact checker, we won't have fun. Are we going to have fun fact checking? No, Harry, I'm not like, this is a reminder to me as well, because I'm doing it. It's just so hard to watch this thing and not be like, that's wrong. But there's no point, right? This guy's mad. This guy should have like baby guards trapping him in a lovely plush spare room. And there's no point being like, this obvious lying idiot has got something wrong. Yeah. Yes. Yes, that has happened. Let's spare ourselves looking up a big list of COVID deaths per country.
So forgive me for daring to question what the experts say. Forgive me for not trusting the science. Forgive me for not knowing my place, for not doing what I'm told. And
this guy would break his shins on a baby gate. Trust me. When we would be hearing about how baby gates are woke the following week on this channel.
Up. Well, the good news is that I am absolutely terrible at shutting up, which is why I'm here.
A very good line. Can we hear it
I'm
again?
absolutely terrible at shutting up, which is why I'm here.
Brilliant.
Now, when I was taken off air at the end of last year, I was overwhelmed by the
Nicely.
response. My original post announcing the news was viewed just under 3 million times on X alone. And I have received over 10,000 messages of support since then. There's no way that I can reply to all of them, but let me
Is he actually reading the replies and then like going, this one's abuse, this one's support? Is he doing that? Because a program can't do that. There isn't a program alive that could read the replies and tell you which is which. So has he sat and he's read 10,000 replies? That's kind of freakish
thank
behaviour.
you. And let me tell you that I will repay your incredible kindness and good wishes with a brand new show and a project and a mission which is here to give you a voice, to entertain you, to surprise you, to sometimes tell you things you want to hear and sometimes tell you things you don't want to hear.
Is it? Oh, I thought it was exclusively going to tell me things I don't want to hear. But sometimes it'll tell me things I want to hear. Great, can't wait for
In
those
media,
bits.
trust is everything, and I intend to earn yours, and I intend to keep it by being
Preamble.
myself,
This is still preamble.
by
This is
having
really
no
long
agenda,
video.
peddling no narratives, and telling you
I have no agenda. I have no ideology. I came here with no values. I was born yesterday. My head is blank. I think nothing. I hold my first interview and all my beliefs, just everything my interviewer said. I have no prior experience. I have checked nothing.
as I see it. And I've got one other very big job, which is to hold.
As someone who regularly holds a pencil and waggles it around in front of a camera, he should learn to not do that. I think I can get away with it because I'm charming. I'm scruffy in a different way to him. I think it's different. But I think if you're going for the journalism, please hire me Fox News, I think waggling the pen doesn't help. I don't think it's helping him. Anyway, I'm playing with a pencil sharpener today.
This appalling new Labour government to account. We've had Freebiegate, the assault on pensioners, farmers and private schools, the Chagos Islands surrender, and the tanking of our economy. Far worse than under Liz Truss, who has been largely vindicated.
Oh, yeah. We're in Mark's hot take. Do you know, one thing I'm genuinely interested in, and I know this is pickle brain talking, this is the wrong way to go, but like, who's his guy? Is his guy the Tory party? Who's his guy? Did he like Sunak? Probably not, right? Well, I don't know. Would he love Liz Truss? Because she did tank things for pensioners, right? She almost caused a complete run on pensions, didn't she? Oh, sorry, did he say Truss?
Far worse than surrender and the tanking of our economy. Far worse than under Liz Truss, who has been largely vindicated.
Oh. Yeah, that must have passed me by. I don't know. I'm not part of the. I don't read the news. I don't know what's going on. Has the economy tanked worse than what was threatened under Truss? Is he just a Truss guy? He's probably just become a complete like Kwasi style free market fundamentalist, right? If he's hanging out with GB News guys and he's got a head full of linen, and let's face it, he looks like he's got a head full of linen, then he's just going to become a Trussophile. That makes sense. That makes sense.
This administration are already in the running to be the worst government in modern political history.
Worse than Truss. I just thought you could always trot Truss out to be like, that's as bad as it gets. Someone tried as close as we've gotten to just anarcho-capitalism, open all the markets, and it nearly tanked everything. And then she got wheeled back into a side room again.
With a PM in Sir Keir Starmer, who strikes me as barely a person, and more just a...
You know what? He has said something for the left there. There we go. That's the first thing I'm like, yep, I'll countersign that. He is British politics Tommy Wiseau. And I don't mean that in any other way other than he looks a little bit like a candle that's melted.
political hologram Britain's first AI-generated Prime Minister, the human manifestation of ChatGPT software gone horribly wrong. Now on this show, I'll be standing up for common sense. I'll be standing up for logic. I'll be standing up for evidence-based policy. I'll be standing up for humanity. And I will be standing up for the truth. So...
I love how he'll never make like a modest claim. He'll be like, I'm standing up for this, I will analyze things from this vantage point. Also, I'm standing up for the concept of being a human. I'm standing up for truth. I'm standing up for oxygen. I'm standing up for the idea of being nice. Hello, Fireman Fi. Welcome to the channel. We are just watching Mark Dolan's latest output. It's a mess. I'm finding it funny. I think this guy's funny. We hate him, just so you know, so you could read the vibe. Don't need to read the vibe now. I'm telling you, we hate this guy.
Lots to do. A daily show on YouTube, Mondays to Thursdays, also available as a podcast. And exclusive content, bonus videos, and all the shows ad-free on Substack. Just go to...
Is this a hot take? Is this upsell a hot take?
markdolan.com. So as I say, lots to do, but I can't do it without you. So, should we get to work?
Oh, the mix is a jump scare.
Grooming gangs scandal may have seen the abuse of hundreds of thousands of vulnerable young... Who better to...
Okay, so this is the format. I think it's Mark Dolan's hot take and then 3 interviews.
Than the Telegraph columnist, economics supremo, and co-star of the...
Do you remember when in 2015 he said that reading the Telegraph would turn you into a baseless anti-Semite?
Hugely popular Planet Normal podcast, Liam Halligan. Liam, really...
I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but there's a Telegraph journalist with a podcast called Planet Normal. That really tickles me.
A plunging pound, low growth.
No, Fireman Fi, he got sacked from GB News right before Christmas and has panicked. He's made a panicked YouTube journalism show, which he thinks is like a radical move in 2025 to be on YouTube. And we're just sort of reveling in the silly things he says. Honestly, if this is just 3 interviews and then he wraps up, I think the interviews won't be fun, but his hot take will always be great.
And high cost of borrowing. What should we be most worried about?
Well, the first thing to say, Mark, is congratulations to you on launching this channel. I wish you a huge amount of success. I think you're a very talented...
Sorry, can we just look? This would be the ultimate reaction gif. Let me... I'll just move it in the frame. This is the ultimate reaction
to you on
gif.
launching this channel. I wish you a huge amount of success.
This.
I think you're a very talented...
This is such a strange smile. I think it's so good.
Congratulations to you on launching this channel. Well, the first thing to say, Mark, is congratulations to you on launching this channel. I wish you a huge amount of success. I think you're a very talented...
Oh, what's going on? Why is that his smile?
Congratulations to you on launching this channel.
Oh.
Well, the first thing to say, Mark, is congratulations to you on launching this channel. I wish you...
I cannot for the life of me understand. But I can revel in it. If there's one thing I can do, it's just revel in it, find it funny.
You a huge amount. Well, the first thing to say, Mark, is congratulations to you on launching this channel. I wish you a huge amount. You on launching this channel. Launching this channel. I wish you a huge amount of success. I think you're very talented. an interesting broadcaster, and I'm sure you're going to amass lots of viewers and a big following. So, chapeau to you. When it comes to what's going on financial markets,
I'm speaking to you at what I know is an increasingly challenging time.
remembering is some of what I'm about to say.
Oh, I thought I fixed that.
May sound like gobbledygook, and I'll try and make it not sound like gobbledygook, because that's the stock in trade of good journalism.
What I'm about to say might sound like gobbledygook, but I'll try and make it not sound like gobbledygook, because that's the stock in trade of good journalism. Listen to that again at this ridiculous speed.
Not sound, and I'll try and make it not sound like gobbledygook.
Well, he works for the Telegraph, so like, in a sense, in a very narrow sense.
Good journalism, isn't it? Explaining complex issues in a clear way. But why this important? And when I talk about bond markets and gilt yields,
this has been Enter the Dolanverse. This has been Mark Dolan. Thank you very much for watching. Do let me know on the Discord if you want more of this. I think watching Mark Dolan has legs. I hate to say it, but I think he's endlessly fascinating. I'm gonna go. Can someone hit the outro button and let me out? Let me out of here, Ray. Thank you, Das Keto. That's very kind of you. Yeah, and I did it nicely. Thank you, Ash Cash. Do you plan to curate the content? What time do you stream? This sort of time, Wednesdays and Fridays. So back next Wednesday. Hello, Vince Caramel. Lovely to almost see each other. Can someone hit outro for me? Let me out. Well, I hope you will see me again, Ash Lols.
To get big returns. Their face